This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
It's all quiet in the chat. I don't trust it. It has been raucous in the chat. What the last week? We've had some wild trolls. We've had some people getting in arguments in the chat. We've had Matter coming in here and acting like they run the place. Good evening, welcome. It's the Troll Patrol live. The freaking Sunday. Am I being trolled? Because where's the... Oh, there's my lighter. Sparkles, Lavendar, Tadpole, DJ Dub, good evening. Clinically has this habit of coming in here like an hour before the show starts. Like, where's my news, News Gimp? What are we fighting about, Igloo? We'll do the game of fisticuffs. Good evening, my friend, Igloo. How are you? Somebody give Igloo a shout out. Holiday, my friend. Also, Igloo, I haven't seen you on lately. I must be missing you. Whatever time you're streaming. Goldfish! How is everyone tonight? Good evening, good evening. I can tell you how I am. Not high enough for this shit. Hey, Mike Hawk, are you watching right now? You gutless piece of shit. M-Lord! What's going on, my friend? Mike Hawk on Twitter has been trying to troll. All he's got is really calling me a pedophile. My cock. That might be it. That might be the joke, to be honest with you. I just got it. Oh, Igloo only on Tuesdays now. I feel you, my friend. I had to take a little while there. Where we cut back on streaming. We're back to 5 nights a week again. Mango peach jam chicken. God damn, that sounds good. Mike Hawk Tua. Krell, good evening. Apparently Hawk Tua was in attendance at SummerSlam last night. And they didn't like give her a shout out or anything. She might have been sad. I'm gonna be sad if Mike Hawk doesn't come in here. Doesn't come in here and tell me what he thinks I'm a pedophile. Because here's the thing. He comes to my page, he's like, all I see is people calling you a pedophile. I'm like, well, all you're seeing is right-wing NPCs calling me a pedophile. I'll gladly take all you weird assholes calling me a pedophile, because here's the thing. I absolutely hate children. Never been around them in my life. So, like... If you call like a normal person, say they're a school teacher or something, you start calling them a pedophile, you're spreading shit on them online. Like, you can that's called blood libel. You can ruin their fucking livelihoods. And all you right-wing dipshits go around doing it all the fucking time. Blood libel. It don't work on me, man. I ain't scared. I am not scared of your idiots bullying. Energy flow. SummerSlam was awesome. If you guys ask why because I was in the Discord, I was like, Trump's an hour late for his speech because I had it on and everything. I was wondering if somebody was going to ask me like, well, why aren't you streaming it? Because it's SummerSlam. And that's what I did, and boy, did I enjoy it. Every match was a banger. Got to see my favorite wrestler of all time make his in-ring return. Well, his solo in-ring return. Clobbering time. He ate defeat last night, but it was still worth it. It was a fun match. Anyway, how are you guys? A meme of the day. And I think this was pretty fitting. Sleep paralysis, but the demon keeps asking if Olympic athletes are trans. Is Katie Ledecky trans? You should totally watch it on Peacock, M-Lord. If you are a wrestling fan, it was a very good show. I don't want to give it away, but somebody came back last night. I'll just acknowledge him there. Does Ladeggy have a Ladeggy? Well, M Lord, I will let you know that right now this is the best wrestling has been in 25 years, maybe 30 years. It is insane. It's insanely hot right now. Galise, please. What are we going to be talking about tonight? It is, of course, the most absurd news, politics, and current events on the internet. Why? How many goddamn news stories about RFK being weird with an animal are we going to have to do this presidential election cycle? And apparently, RFK told this to Roseanne. So you're going to get a dose of Roseanne, RFK, and Cheryl Hines on the show tonight. I'm going to talk to you about the unrest in Bangladesh. We're going to talk to you about the unrest in the UK. We're going to talk to you about how Russian spy children, the children of the exchanged Russian spies last week, didn't know they were Russian. I find that fascinating. Israel bombing a school. Oh, no, wait, hold on. It's not a school anymore. It was just a shelter for refugees. Israel bombing a shelter that used to be a school. That makes it way better. U.S. is preparing for every possibility when it comes to Iran. We're going to talk about the Nancy Pelosi interview from this morning on CBS. Republicans took to bitching in the Senate. Trump went to a battleground state and shot himself in the foot. I am pretty confident after last night's Trump rally, Trump will not be winning this election. He is doing everything he can to not win this election. Byron Daniels defended Trump's attacks on Kamala Harris over her race. Harris is closing in on her VP pick. Elon Musk PAC linked to the election under investigation. A former actor with General Hospital is formally alive after being shot in L.A. Got multiple complaints against cops in Massachusetts. A child in Maryland died after its bouncy house went airborne. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that. Woman was arrested after a standoff on the highway. A Florida man lassoed an alligator. Kesha danced with knives. Steve Mongo McMichaels, a member of the Four Horsemen, has been inducted into the Football Hall of Fame. Normally I wouldn't cover stories like this, but you'll see when we get there why I'm doing it. He's also a former wrestler. You know I'm a wrestling fan. And we have one more genitalia-related Olympic controversy. A pole vaulter from France named Anthony Ammirati knocked himself out of competition with his giant schlong. All that and more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Good evening, Ducky. Good evening, Warlord. Purgatorus Venus, good evening. I wish he didn't literally shoot himself in the foot. He went to Georgia and bashed their incredibly popular governor. Show me your genitals. Your genitals. That's what I mentioned. I was talking to my buddy Battle Opossum about the league. And I was like, and John LaJoy's in it. And he's like, who's John LaJoy? And I'm like, show me your genitals. Your genitals. Your genitalia. Oh, goddamn. Promise you, we'll get to the news 10 minutes in. I'll change the format of the show. News 10 minutes in. It's starting off with, the fucking horrors of foreign affairs right now. Holy shit. Not horrors like Mike Hawk's wife. Mother. Mike Hawk's whore mom I've been making fun of on Twitter. Whores. Start off tonight in Bangladesh, where student protests have ignited a broader movement against the country's leader.
Bangladesh is under a nationwide curfew and internet blackout after a week of violent clashes between security forces and protesters. Almost 300 people have died, with thousands more injured. The protests have grown into a
What way would that be, PC? Also, good evening, my friend. I've got a friend, and she's a perv. She's really enjoying the bulges at the Olympics. And that's how I knew about this story. She was the one that posted about it. Cause you know how a dude would post like girls in short shorts and shit. That's what she does with guys and bulges. Oh God, I'm sorry. Hold on. Oof. You're gonna see it before the end of the show, clinically. Oh. I'm trying to be serious. I'm not high enough for this shit.
Bangladesh is under a nationwide curfew and internet blackout after a weekend of violence.
Okay, apparently I've been saying it wrong. It's Bangladesh and not Bangladesh. Which Bangladesh? Fucking cooler.
Violent clashes between security forces and...
Let's go to Bangladesh!
Almost 300 people have died, with thousands more injured. The protests have grown into a national movement against Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and her increasingly autocratic rule. Ali Rogan has more.
Thumb, good evening. Everybody has bongos. I love to play them with a titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on, now.
God, why am I like this? Sharp Chaos, good evening. One more time, I'm going to try to do the story about the unrest going on in Bangladesh. Oh, and I'm going to try to take a hit from Bangladesh.
Bangladesh protests over a government jobs policy ignited a broader movement against the country's longtime leader.
Yes, I want to step down Sheikh Hasina!
Protesters say Sheikh Hasina's violent crackdown is destroying her image and legacy tied to the birth of itself.
We want the government to resign. We want to go back to the golden times we had in the past.
Student protests began in
Make Bangladesh great again.
Workforce quota system, which reserves some jobs for veterans of the country's 1971 war for independence and their families. Hasina responded with violence, imposing an internet blackout and curfew, with security forces given an order to shoot on sight.
What the fuck?
The government reduced the quota after demonstrations began, but the protests had already expanded to calls for justice for those killed in the crackdown, a toll now exceeding 200.
They are killing people indiscriminately, people are being jailed, people are being tortured. At the same time, you are seeing the courage of the people of Bangladesh, who have decided they will not sit down, they will not go down without a fight.
Hasina and the quota system are part of Bangladesh's founding story. Her father was Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who led the fight for an independent Bengali state after the partition of British-ruled India in 1947. The Muslim-majority areas became East and West Pakistan, but the Bengali-speaking East Pakistanis faced exploitation and marginalization from the West. Mujib helped found the Bengali nationalist Awami League, which fought for independence at the polls and eventually in a bloody war against West Pakistan. In the war's 9 months, about 3 million people were killed and millions more displaced. Mujib became independent Bangladesh's first prime minister and put the quota system in place as a reward for Bangladesh's freedom fighters. He was assassinated in 1975, and Hasina positioned herself as his political and ideological successor.
People see her as a harbinger of democracy, the daughter of the father of the revolution, and in 1991 actually gets elected to be the prime minister. And then she loses in 1996. And from 1996 to 2008, she continues to fight for democracy and gets a lot of support, a lot of goodwill.
Salil Tripathi is a writer and the author of a book on the Bangladesh War. He says after Hasina regained power, her commitment to democracy waned as she won 3 disputed elections in a row.
Yep.
Has been accompanied by a period of serious human...
It is something I have pointed out multiple times. Leaders that come to power during popular movements tend to go authoritarian for some reason. Maduro! Worried that might happen in Ukraine with, what's his name? God, it's slipping my mind now. What is that dude's name? I see his face. I see him docking the Zelensky. I see him docking Macron right in front of me. Voldemort. PC cracking me up over here tonight. Keep it up, my friend.
An economic downturn, and this perception of nepotism and corruption.
He says most of the beneficiaries of the quota system were from the founding Awami League, excluding supporters of opposition parties.
The quota became the symptom, and now it has become full-scale opposition to her rule.
Since protests began, police have arrested at least 11,000 people.
Many were punished. After getting out from jail, they're showing the same face. They will not be spared easily.
One student protest leader said police abducted, sedated, and detained him for days.
I think they took us away to refrain us from making decisions about the movement while they massacred all these people. They made some of us disappear. Some were beaten. We were pressured to stop the movement.
Hasina stoked tensions when she referred to the protesters as Razakars, a wartime slur for supporters of the Pakistani military who fought the Bangladeshi freedom fighters.
The Razakars is the word she used on the 14th of July. And so the students started a protest saying that we are Razakars, you are Razakars, everyone is a Razakar, as a kind of, and campaign against it. And the protest just...
I think I can relate this. The analogous thing would be here in the U.S. Everybody getting called Hamas. Anonymously, good evening.
Now international pressure is mounting. The United Nations and European Union are calling on the government to halt its attacks. The UN human rights chief wants the government to disclose details about the crackdown. But Tripathi says the number of crises spiraling elsewhere in the world is fracturing the world's attention.
On one hand, you have the conflict in Ukraine, then you have the conflict in the Middle East, in Gaza. The US is in the middle of its own election. The Venezuelan election has thrown, a rabbit out of the hat now. So I think there are lots of other priorities which are also distracting the international community.
We want justice!
Inside Bangladesh, the national reckoning persists.
People make mistakes. If she would have apologized, everything would go back to normal. If she cannot control it, things will keep getting heated.
As protesters continue to defy police in the streets, it's clear that for some, an apology is no longer enough. For PBS News Weekend, I'm Allie Rogan.
Battle of Awesome, glad to see you. I thought you were watching SummerSlam. I think I'd see you tonight. Popped up like TikTok style, huh? Interesting. I think they have updated the Twitch app in the last, the last month. They've done a lot of changes. Now I forgot what story. Okay. Let's go to the UK, where there is also unrest going on. Remember the story of the Taylor Swift stabbing. These kids were at a Taylor Swift yoga fucking class. It was for 8 to 12-year-olds, I think was the age range, and some 17-year-old came in and stabbed a bunch of kids. Taylor Swift stabbed a bunch of kids. It has caused the UK to basically devolve into mass riots. But it's neo-Nazis. It is neo-Nazis throwing a fit
At the moment.
Well, you could still, I know that it's not actually clear from the picture we're bringing you, but there's a police helicopter overhead and there's a number of people behind me, and there's someone coming to try and talk to us.
So they are outside of a whole hotel in Rotherham. This was about 4 or 5 hours ago. The rioters were trying to seize the hotel. They are housing immigrants at the hotel.
But we'll continue talking. But there are hundreds of people gathered here at the other side of the Holiday Inn Hotel, and they have set fire to an object which is in the middle of the midst of the people there. There are around 300 people, and earlier on today, we saw police officers with riot shields running towards that group, trying to head them off as they threw stones and planks of wood at those police officers. We know that the Asylum Hotel was targeted earlier in the day, and what has seemed to have happened is other groups of people have now joined the fray, because as the police look like they're about to stand down and sort of take breath, there then appeared a group of young people who mainly had masks on their faces who came running down the road towards them. And it's very clear that this side of the Holiday Inn, not just the hotel, but the police now are targets, because we've seen police officers
Unholy, good evening.
In this direction have to reverse very quickly when they've been noticed by the groups of people who have headed in their direction. In fact, one of those police cars had their window smashed out on the street behind me, headed towards the Holiday Inn.
Always morally correct to punch Nazis.
Just to stay away from all of what is going on. But
do not be a Hulk Hogan and hug them and take pictures with them. Punch the Nazis.
On that street behind me, there is debris, there is glass, there are beer cans, there is something in the middle of there on fire. Just maybe a few hundred meters from the Holiday Inn, which we know has been targeted by those protesters, now described by Keir Starmer as far-right thugs. But what you also have are people who are clearly joining the fray, joining those groups of people in targeting officers, targeting this hotel, which we know housed asylum seekers, throwing projectiles at the police. And there's a very real sense here that rather than the scene sort of clearing up and the situation de-escalating, there are people still joining. There's scorched grass, there are officers with their riot shields up behind me. So just to kind of give you a bit of a better sense.
Once again, this is maybe 6 hours ago, 7 hours ago.
An iPhone, which is the best thing to film on in this situation. But there are police officers in that crowd on the other side, and then a group of onlookers. And every time the police head in this direction in vehicles, they are being chased away from the scene. I saw a police car about 5 minutes ago reversing the opposite direction. So as I have said, it's clear that they are being targeted. Over the course of the day, we've seen those pictures of people trying to gain entry into that Holiday Inn Express, which you know housed asylum seekers, people setting fire to that. There is a flame behind me as well, Julian. And there is a police helicopter overhead also, in a scene that doesn't look like it's de-escalating anytime soon. In fact, some people in the last hour have joined the rioting.
Shinge, if you feel safe to carry on, just a couple more questions. You just said there that people are seemingly joining the rioters, so that the crowds are swelling. There's no sign that people are starting to leave as the day is drawing to a close.
So on this side, at least, in the last 30 minutes, people joined, but this is quite a complex situation with the police cordoning off a number of entrances to the hotel. So this was one of them. And here, when we arrived, which is just over an hour ago now, the police were saying that it's the other side where they were having issues. And then suddenly, as I think is the case with so many of these situations, there was a development and they had to move. So officers who had stopped had to pick up their riot gear and head in the direction of a group who were approaching them. That group had projectiles, that group had planks of wood, they had stones. And that gave you the sense that this is a fast-moving situation in which, at points, perhaps, there is what seems to be de-escalation, but then the crowd swelled a little bit. So at this point, I'd say there's around 100 or so people gathered, but the mood has shifted quickly in the evening while we've been here. I don't know if we
fucking wow.
Walk back a little and get in a little.
Now, usually I would be all fucking for someone kicking a cop and knocking him over like that.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
But when it's neo-Nazis trying to attack a bunch of immigrants and the cops are actually doing their job, makes it a little bit harder to support.
Bit closer for you, but as you can see, there's a group behind me, and that group, I don't think you probably get it on the small phone camera we're having to use.
Fair enough, clinically, yeah.
A group of police officers.
Let them fight.
Pictures we've seen over the course of the day at the other side of the Holiday Inn, you have police officers who seem outnumbered and crowds of people around them. It seems to have quietened down in the last 10 or 15 minutes, but the incitement seems to happen when there's a police car heading in this direction and the group of people see them.
Yes and no, Venus. There have been several huge scandals that rocked Scotland Yard recently. As for the demographics of the group of rioters, I will tell you that they probably closely mirror the demographics of Trump supporters here in this country, and that they are more than likely 40 to 60 years old, more affluent. They have probably have they're not rich, but they're not poor, right? They're the kind of, here in this country, they'd be driving a big Chevrolet fucking truck that's 80 grand or some shit. Trump supporters are absolutely racist, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. These are the same people. What are you talking about? This is the same people that support Trump here. These fucking support the Tories there.
And Northern Ireland.
Oh shit, we're live. They're not covering it anymore. Riots, many involving far-right and anti-immigrant groups, are like, seriously, it's the same fucking people! Far-right anti-immigrant groups are continuing in towns across the UK 6 days on from Southport stabbings. Chairs thrown and windows smashed at hotel in Rotherham by masked groups. Rioters targeted a second Holiday Inn in Tamworth. Scenes of disorder show shocking level of thuggery. The former police chief says, Keir Starmer, the fresh prime minister, a month on the exactly a month to the day on the job, says, I guarantee you will regret taking part in disorder. Hamza Youssef calls for the army to be called in. Eyewitnesses say running battles in Bristol was fairly medieval. See, look at them. They're the exact group I just described. Well, Warlord, that's one of the reasons I mentioned in the Discord. I'm like, is this not just really about the whole immigrant stabbing? This is just an excuse to wild out. This is just, there has been a palpable hatred brewing in the UK. And the election of Starmer, the complete annihilation of the Tories, coupled with, this was just the accelerant that set it all off. Trump supporters aren't racist. Oh, goddamn. The children of the Russian spies that were exchanged last week for the Americans, Paul Whelan and, God, I forget the other name, the Evan Gurkich, the teacher. The children of the spies that we exchanged for them apparently did not know they were Russian until last week.
This family of Russian sleeper agents were flown to Moscow in the biggest East-West prisoner swap since the Cold War. So deep undercover, their children only found out they were Russians after the flight took off, the Kremlin said on Friday. Met by President Vladimir Putin as they touched down, the children knew no Russian and were greeted in Spanish, according to a spokesperson. The Dulcevs, a husband and wife, were convicted in a Slovenian court of pretending to be Argentinians in order to spy. While in jail, they were given restricted access to their children and feared they could lose their parental rights, the spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said. The group, upon arrival, were congratulated by Putin, and those in the military service were told
he does.
Nominated for
but to be fair, all Russians kind of look like that. All Russians look alike.
Military service were told they would be nominated for state awards. One of the first off the plane on Thursday was Vadim Krasikov, a hitman released by Germany and an employee of Russia's FSB security service. He was convicted by a German court of killing a former Chechen militant in a Berlin park in 2019. His release will be seen as a win for Moscow, which prides itself on bringing home intelligence operatives arrested abroad. But Germans spoken to by Reuters in Berlin felt mixed about the trade.
To be honest, I find it a pity that Germany engaged in this, releasing a killer who is then celebrated as a hero in another country.
The swap involved 24 prisoners, with 16 moving from Russia to the west and 8 prisoners held in the west being sent back to Russia. Although Moscow released more prisoners than it received, it was portrayed by Russian authorities as a victory and appeared to go down well on the streets.
Well, a couple of them were murderers, so...
That means he was sure it was right, so I trust the president and agree with his opinion.
The multi-country deal appeared to be a one-time exchange that does not reset the antagonistic US-Russia relationship, which has deteriorated sharply since Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine.
Probably shouldn't trust Putin. Just throwing it out there. The Israelis continuing their genocidal campaign on the Palestinian people. I think yesterday is when this happened. Killed 16 in a school turned into a makeshift shelter.
Strikes killing 18 people today in Gaza, including 4 people who were sheltering in a tent camp inside a hospital complex. And in Tel Aviv, a stabbing attack carried out by a Palestinian man killed an 80-year-old man and a woman in her 70s. 2 other people were wounded in the attack. This all comes amid heightened tensions across the region.
Did Tadpole just tell me not to feel bad? Shit happens in response to genocide. Thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
This week's assassinations of top leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah in Iran and Lebanon. ABC's foreign correspondent Matt Rivers is joining us now from Tel Aviv. Matt, it's great to have you with us. Walk us through, what can you tell us about these incidents?
Yeah, Whit, it's just a reminder that the tension continues as this conflict in Gaza goes on. Even as we wait for a possible Iranian retaliation here in the coming hours or days, the fighting continues in Gaza. And that's what we saw with those strikes. I mean, it was just yesterday that there was 16 people killed in an airstrike at a school-turned-shelter where the Israeli military says that they were targeting what they said was a Hamas weapons manufacturing facility there. But again, as we've seen so often, even if it were a legitimate target, you also see civilians killed, and that continues almost every single day.
But it wasn't even a legitimate target.
You mentioned those 2 people stabbed in a place not too far from where we are, south of Tel Aviv. That is something that happens from time to time, a reminder of just how tense things are.
And
they're everywhere, Tadpole.
This vow of revenge from Iran and its proxies, and the U.S. now sending additional military assets.
They are omnipresent, kind of like a deity or some shit. Just Hamas is always here with us.
What does this do for any hope of peace negotiations?
Well, especially after the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran earlier this week, who was the top political director of Hamas, the top international face of that organization, and a key member of the negotiations in any chance for a ceasefire deal in Gaza.
PC, my friend, let me tell you how we got here. They are violently resisting their oppression, you dipshit. Do you understand? There is a genocide being committed against them. They've been held in an open-air prison for, what, fucking 50 years at this point? They've had their land stolen. Their fucking doctors killed. Their teachers imprisoned. Children killed for no fucking reason. Snipers killing toddlers. You don't understand shit, PC. You seem to be a fucking idiot. So do you think that the people of Hamas are just evil? They just want to kill Israelis for no reason? No, dumb fuck. People are occupying their land. Jesus fucking Christ. What are you forced to think that way? What the fuck are you talking about, you absolute moron? Jesus.
Killing one of the negotiators.
You lived in Gaza for 4 years.
General, then you add in the Iranian threat, and it certainly isn't a situation conducive to come to a deal. That said, we know Israeli negotiators went to Cairo yesterday to try and get further on a deal. We heard there was no progress made, but at least they're still talking.
And just when it seems like they're getting closer, then something else like this happens. Matt Rivers for us, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Because you have an ill-informed opinion. You talk about Trump supporters not being, are you a Trump supporter? Because you're kind of being racist towards the Palestinians. Their self-determination doesn't matter to you. Their lives don't matter to you. Like, you don't value them in any way. Why is that? It doesn't seem, because you are defending Israel in my chat. And they are literally committing a genocide. Do you understand that? But you are not defending anyone. What are you? You're coming in here throwing out fucking Zionist propaganda. Yes, no one should kill anyone. So why are you not criticizing Israel? They are the ones with the power. They are the ones with the military. They are the ones that control the Gaza Strip. They are the ones that have been imprisoning the Palestinian people. Do you understand? So why might someone who is part of an oppressed group that is being held down in an open-air prison, why might they support a rebel faction trying to fight the group that is oppressing them? Also, your video, that's what they call these man on the street fucking things. You don't know how many people he interviewed and how many people he actually showed you, right? You don't know how many people actually supported Hamas in that interview because you are at the whim of his editing what he chose to show you. You don't critically examine what you see, and you fall for grifters on the internet, don't you? Buddy, that's an idiotic thing to say. I can't talk about... You're saying you can't talk about something that I haven't experienced. What are you fucking talking about? Just because you went there doesn't mean you know jack about it. Do you have a broader understanding? Because I kind of doubt you know jack shit about the history of the region, my friend. You're making appeals to some kind of authority that you do not have. Jesus, dude, you're a fucking moron. God damn. Yeah, exactly. Venus is correct. That is anecdotal evidence. Your personal experiences aren't evidence of anything. And they are subjected to your internal biases that you may not even realize that you have. And your prejudices. You're telling me I can't think for myself, but I'm the one that articulated an argument. You're just like, you don't know because you haven't been there. Do you understand? You look fucking stupid, dude. You're not a critical thinker. What does that mean to be a humanist? Yeah. Why don't you call in for us, since you want to argue, my friend? 917-830-4359. Buddy, telling me to go live somewhere isn't an argument. I can tell you about the history of the region and their politics and the strife. Therefore, I can speak intelligently on the subject. You're not saying anything to me. Sacrificial MILF, good evening. The phone lines are open, 917-830-4359. But hey, he's on Twitch. Would you rather get in the Discord with me? What history that I've been fed? Buddy, you're the one being fed bullshit. First of all, I'm going to assume you were in the military, Mr. PC Aviator. So, like, you are literally one of the most brainwashed, propagandized people on the fucking planet. You do realize that, right? It was your job to go in and be programmed. Okay, Peace Corps. Okay, that's a lot different. So how are you a right-wing bigot if you were in the Peace Corps? But buddy, we're not. So far, you seem to be, my friend. How are you not? It's okay if you don't agree with me, but you've made no goddamn argument. And buddy, I'm gonna stop talking to you. You can't talk to me through chat. You gotta do Discord or phone. We're gonna move on and find out what that news be doing. U.S. says it is prepared for every possibility as Iran vows retaliation sometime this week, I believe.
We are preparing for every possibility, just as we did in advance of April 13th when Iran attacked Israel, and the United States and a coalition of our partners and allies worked with Israel to defeat that attack.
Iran rejected U.S. and Arab efforts to temper its response to the killing of Hamas's top political leader, Ismail Haniyeh.
Do you think Iran will stand down, sir?
I hope so.
Come on, man. Killing of Haniyeh came hours after the Israeli strike killed a senior Hezbollah commander in Beirut on Tuesday night. 2 attacks following a deadly rocket strike in the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights threatened to push the region to the brink of war. Iranian leaders have vowed to retaliate for the killing of Haniyeh.
When the Supreme Leader says he's going to avenge, we have to take that seriously. We got to make darn sure that we're ready and that we have the capabilities in the region to be able to help Israel defend itself and, quite frankly, defend our own people, our own facilities, our own national security interests.
PC, my friend, why don't you stop believing everything you're fucking consuming, dude? Why? Why do you think everybody else is misinformed, but you have the magic solution? What the fuck? Why don't you have a conversation with me? You come in here and make appeals to decorum. Oh, you can't fucking call people names. Fuck off, seriously. You don't watch news, but yet you wandered into a stream about the news. Like, I'm glad to have you here, but, like, if you don't watch the news, how are you informed on anything? How do you know what's going on? How do you have an opinion on things that you don't know shit about? I'm fascinated by that. What does that mean? Buddy, because you travel, that probably means you have a very skewed view of the world. That you're traveling to all these areas that are affluent and are welcoming to Westerners and shit. You probably don't know, but you were in the Peace Corps, so there is I'm trying to be fair here. But like saying I seen shit is not a fucking argument. You are not an informed person. U.S. officials are saying that they are pushing Israel to de-escalate, too. Jordan's foreign minister, Aman Safidi, visited Tehran on Sunday to discuss ways to defuse tensions. U.S. officials provided Israel with extra military assets to stop a potential attack.
On April 13th, when Iran launched 300 missiles and drones, the United States had aircraft fighter planes in the air to knock them down. We've now added additional naval and air assets to the region to help defend Israel again. I think we've proven time and time again that we're going to support Israel.
I talk to people is not an argument. That is not how you inform yourself. And once again, as I pointed out, if you're traveling around, you're traveling to areas that are welcoming to Westerners, blah, blah, blah. You are very biased in what you see. You're not actually talking to the real people. So, or you could just be fucking lying and full of shit. And see, once again, you can't actually have a conversation with me about any kind of facts or on a see, I like to talk about things that I can actually prove. I can prove you wrong about things. But you're like, what'd you say to me? You're saying that I sound smug because you have an opinion. You've stated some pretty dumb shit in here, my friend. Like, it's not about an opinion. If you want to have a conversation with me, buddy, holy fuck, dude. First of all, this country is racist as fuck. Do you not know the country? The United States. Second of all, Trump supporters are not half the country. They are maybe 32%, 33%. And I wouldn't say all of them are racist. Most of them are just passively racist. They're okay with racism. They've got internalized racism. I don't have facts, obviously. Oh, shit. Why is it the people like him always come in here and try to derail the show? As opposed to coming in and, like, watching and, learning something. They always come in, they want to spout their ill-informed opinions. I tell you what, I'm going to do you guys a favor. For those of you not subbed. If you're not subbed, you're going to watch the first part of this Nancy Pelosi interview. So you get the gist of what's going on. And then I'll hit the commercial break like halfway through. And I'll save you like half of the Nancy Pelosi interview. How's that sound? Good? So you still get the gist of what we're talking about. You get less Nancy Pelosi than everybody else. I think that's a win-win.
Time of turmoil in Washington. A time that's also seen Representative Nancy Pelosi in what's become her customary position, front and center. The House Speaker Emerita has a new book out, The Art...
Oh God, it's a book plug!
The art at which Nancy Pelosi is something of a master.
Princess Kimberly.
She's talking with Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes about matters public.
The woman has a nice rack. And good for her! Show it off!
And private.
My husband and I
think she deserves a titty slap.
The doctors have supported that because they don't want him to revisit it.
Because
she does!
Of October 28, 20...
Don't make me show you! She called the fans on protesters just because I just complimented her on her rack.
22.
I love you guys.
Broke into their house in San Francisco and hit Paul Pelosi, then 82, in the head at least 3 times with a hammer. Surgeons had to remove part of his skull to save his life. You were the intended target.
Yes.
He was looking for you.
Yeah, he was looking for me. Imagine the guilt of all of that. It's just a horrible thing.
Pelosi describes the horror in her new book. One of the most gripping moments in this chapter is when your daughter, a documentarian, Alexandra, says to you, "You have to give it up," she said to you, yelling.
I wish that Nancy would retire, but also she's done a couple of good things. Like she's kind of the reason we got Biden out. I mean, it probably would have been inevitable even without her, but apparently, like, she was spearheading it. And she's pushing hard for Tim Walz right now. So, good job, Nancy.
Speakership, Congress, everything in your public life. So, did she blame you, or?
Well, I blame me. I mean, not blame me. I was the target. My family, frankly, blames
It's fraud.
certain elements of the Republican Party.
Burnt out.
Been demonizing me for about 20 years every.
I'm so burnt out, my brown eye is bloodshot. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe that's just hemorrhoids.
Life is too short to walk this earth or a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
Election and the rest, cloven feet, horns on the head, a horrible person, in flames, a devil, and all of that. The sad thing about my husband's assault was that they just made a joke of it.
PC, buddy, did you notice you came in this chat and tried to tell me how to run my show? It's so wild. Clinically, who has been with me for years, who has been one of my biggest supporters. I should rethink him being a mod. Just because, like, your feelings are hurt. Wow, dude, what? You have what they call main character syndrome. You can't help yourself.
Well, stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi, who ruined San Francisco. How's her husband doing, by the way? Anybody know?
They thought it was funny, and people laughed. So he was an instigator of violence and then made light of it.
I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our nation.
There have been reports that it was Nancy Pelosi who orchestrated a coordinated effort to squeeze President Biden to drop out. Please tell us what you told President Biden to persuade him to step aside.
Well, I've never shared any conversations with the President of the United States publicly, no.
It's said that he's furious at you.
Ooh!
Well, he knows that I love him very much.
I understand that you don't want to own this, but it is so well reported that you were the leader of a pressure campaign.
No, I wasn't a leader of any precious party. Well, let me say things that I didn't do.
She wasn't the leader of any precious party. What? She's old and senile too. She needs to leave.
But it is so well reported that you were the leader of a pressure campaign.
No, I wasn't a leader of any precious party. Well, let me say things that I didn't do. I didn't call one person. I did not call one person. I could always say to him, I never called anybody. What I'm saying is, I had confidence that the president would make the proper choice for our country, whatever that would be. And I said that, whatever that is.
This Italian grandma talking like a mobster. Like, really, listen to what she just said. Imagine like Don Corleone saying it.
President would make the proper choice for our country, whatever that would be. And I said that, whatever that is, we'll go with.
Had you seen a decline in Joe Biden, and did you think he needed to step aside?
No. My whole point was, whatever he decides, but we have to have a more aggressive campaign.
She mentioned his many accomplishments, including his forceful leadership of the NATO summit with other Western heads of state.
So he was in a good place to make whatever decision, the top of his game. Such a consequential president of the United States, a Mount Rushmore kind of president of the United States. Want to know what comes next.
That he belongs up there on Mount Rushmore. Lincoln and Joe Biden.
Well, to be fair, okay, because I'd heard right-wingers mocking her for this, and I was like, oh, God, she's going to say it here in just a second. But now that I've actually heard the quote, she said he was as consequential as a Mount Rushmore president. She's kind of right about that. And clinically is absolutely right that no one belongs on Mount Rushmore. That fucking eyesore.
But you got Teddy Roosevelt up there, and he's wonderful. I don't say take him down, but you can add Biden. We have big needs for our country.
If there were a Mount Rushmore for speakers of the House, Nancy Pelosi would...
No, Venus, no, don't block him. Don't block him. Please, don't block people that have not violated any rules. I'm letting him go. No, I don't want anybody to be blocked. And brother, like, what is wrong with you? You're talking about how, like, I won't come together, but you're coming to my channel, not trying to, like, come together with us. You're trying to tell me how to run my show, tell my mod how to do his job. You're like fucking, you're telling us we don't know what we're talking about because you've traveled the world, but you can't make an actual argument. You look fucking stupid, dude. You sound like a dumb fuck. Proves your thoughts on what? I don't think you have thoughts. I think you're one of those, like, 50% of the people don't have internal dialogue up here.
There, commemorating her 20 years as a commanding leader in Congress.
Pound the table.
Until she relinquished Democratic Party leadership a year ago. In The Art of Power, Pelosi, now 84, looks back at some of the battles she's most proud of.
This is not a memoir. There's certain episodes of our history that I played a major role in. So I wanted to write about that, just to show my side of it, what happened in the room where it happened, where I was.
She wasn't just in the room, she was working the room, usually running it. As during the financial bailout, COVID relief, the Affordable Care Act.
We're coming for you, Nancy!
It's insane how consequential she's been.
Day of January 6th. You in the book talk about hearing the crowd saying, Nancy, Nancy, we're coming for you, bitch, is what they said.
Yeah.
And you knew what was happening that day was directed at you.
And the vice president. It was an insurrection instigated by the president of the United States. He now tries to disassociate himself from it, blaming it on me and everybody else. But that's the way he is. This was instigated by him.
This is a quote out of your book.
Yeah.
Because Trump was saying he was going to march to the Capitol. You said, if he comes, I'm going to punch him out.
That's right.
For trespassing on the Capitol grounds, I'm going to punch him out, and I'm going to go to jail, and I'm going to be happy.
I knew that I would have to pay a price to go to jail, but I would be happy to do that.
Pelosi is now turning her toughness to defeating Donald Trump.
He has been the best organizer and fundraiser for the Democrats because people know he should never set foot again in the White House. Never should have and shouldn't again.
Now, I pledge to every American.
Buddy, you didn't say one thing. You scoffed at the idea that Trump supporters are racist when Charlottesville happened, you dipshit. The Unite the Right rally was literally a Nazi rally. Trump's like, good people on both sides, blah, blah, blah. And you're accusing me of not fucking being brainwashed or however the fuck you put it. Fed by the media, the narrative that I was fed. You don't know shit about me, dude. I have a fucking degree in political philosophy. I'm incredibly well read. I stayed an extra year in college just to take history classes and philosophy classes I didn't have room for while I was getting my degree. I've been in the news business for over fucking 2 decades. How did college fail me? What have I been wrong about? Name one fucking thing I've been wrong about. Because I can make an argument. I can employ critical thinking and you can't. All you can do is make fucking fallacious appeals. I traveled the world. That's an anecdotal fallacy, you dumb fuck. That's not an argument. You're not a free thinker. You are programmed. I could talk you through it, but you don't want to fucking come on to... I didn't generalize Trump supporters. I didn't generalize Trump supporters at all. Matter of fact, I broke it down, said most of them are probably just passive racists that are okay with racists, the most virulent racists, like the ones that had goddamn Confederate flags in the Capitol and Nazi flags at Charlottesville, are indeed Trump supporters. Not all Trump supporters are racists, but most racists are Trump supporters. What Democrat racism? I have condemned fucking Joe Biden. You weren't here in 2020 now, were you, motherfucker? When we were talking about forced busing. I'm not even a Democrat. This is my problem with you. You're going to come in here and say, I don't know you, make shit-ass arguments. You didn't even make arguments. You just stated things, couldn't back them up, act like you're superior, and then say I'm not a fucking free thinker. You're a dipshit, dude. You got no clue about me. You got no clue about my background. I fucking condemn Democrats all the time. I get that from a lot of right-wing dipshits. That I'm only playing one side, or that I only watch leftist media, when anyone in the chat can tell you, I try to go as neutral as possible, but when we watch biased things, it's usually from the right. It is usually from the right. I've been in media for 25 fucking years, my friend. It's what I do for a living. No media is good. Fuck, that's a weird thing. Who entertains you? You don't watch movies? You don't play video games? You don't consume television? No media is good. That is the dumbest fucking statement I have ever heard in my life. Media is value neutral. You're a dumb fuck. You're consuming media right now, you dipshit. Holy fuck. No wonder you don't know jack about fuck. Go read a book. The people on Twitch are predominantly dipshits. But I'm honest with you. I'll get on here and tell you, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'll fucking lay it out for you and say, I don't know about foreign affairs. But let's watch this news piece and try to learn. Other people on Twitch will defend their fucking opinions despite the fact they've been proven wrong. Because they want to keep their fucking followings. Or they'll adopt the opinions of the chat. They'll stumble on some fucking, usually it's transphobia, or it's some sort of transparent racism or something. They stumble on that kind of a take. And then it's it's a feedback loop. So they notice that more people come to them when they say that kind of thing. So then they start saying more of that kind of thing. That's how Jimmy Dore turns to the right wing. That's how Dave Rubin goes right. That's how Joe Rogan goes right. Because they get a feedback loop. They don't actually fucking think for themselves or present you information unbiasedly. They have their own biases. Fucking you better listen to Clinically. Clinically is in charge of the fucking chat, so Clinically is your chat daddy. Bow down, bitch.
No matter your party, I will give you everything I have.
Did Donald Trump make a mistake when he chose J.D. Vance?
Oh, I think it was a great choice.
Heckin' random. I love you. I'm glad you're here.
And when we fight, we win!
So what is your bit of advice for Kamala Harris on how to run this campaign against Donald?
Twitch people that aren't subscribed, I think you got the commercial break automatically. Sorry, I didn't hit it. But it's still during Nancy.
Donald Trump. Does she instigate a fight? Does she bait him?
Let me just say this, and this is But I tell everybody, always,
Question marks.
just be yourself. It's the same advice I give to women. Be yourself.
The opposition, the Trump.
Buddy, you aren't having a real talk, PC. You're the one acting on emotions. Oh, I talked to this person here and they said this. That's emotions, you dipshit. Fuck.
People and he and J.D. Vance are trying to portray Kamala Harris as being weird. She's a radical left-wing.
Sorry, MILF, sorry.
Crazy lady. She's weird and she's nuts.
She's crazy. She's nuts. She's not as crazy as Nancy Pelosi. Crazy Nancy.
Well, the thing is that there's no question that they understand I make people laugh at them, and that's what they don't like, is to be laughed at. On the other hand, what I have always said about Trump, and now I don't know that much about Vance, but what we do know is menacing.
She was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
So what should she say?
Just
PC, are you still here? Because that was about as racist as it fucking gets, my friend. Tell me that wasn't... Listen to that again. Tell me that wasn't sheer racism.
Is to be laughed at. On the other hand, what I have always said about Trump, and now I don't know that much about Vance, but what we do know is menacing.
She was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn...
I don't think you can disseminate the difference, you dipshit.
So what should she say?
Just talk about kitchen table issues.
Ignore him. is what you're
Ignore
saying.
him. Yeah.
Also, disseminate doesn't mean that. After I said that, I was like, wait a minute, what? You mean dissect the difference? Disseminate means to spread.
Turn around.
You uneducated, uncouth
from this
fucking
side. You never
idiot.
see this side.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
No longer part of the leadership in the House, Pelosi is still running for re-election for her seat from San Francisco. Were you ever asked?
That's not what semantics means either. God damn it. Stop using words you don't know the meaning of.
To run for president?
I haven't been asked, but I was encouraged to put my name in there sometime for vice president. I said, why would I want to be vice president? I'm a legislator.
As
I
a
love
conservative, it's
legislating.
getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
I meant to hit Rudy, but that works too.
People have to understand it's a serious work. I mean, you really have to. You have to listen. What is the judgment you bring as to what priorities can prevail? What is your strategy to get it done? It's constant. It's constant. And it's being respectful of all kinds of points of view. It's inside maneuvering, outside mobilization. It's great. I love being a legislator.
Yes, we clearly know you love it. You're going to die in office, apparently. Can't just leave us alone. God damn. I'm got kind of a love-hate relationship with Nancy Pelosi. I think she was effective in 2006. I was there for that. And I thought she was exactly who we needed as the Speaker of the House at that time. I got very disenchanted with her during the Obama administration. And now that she forced Biden out, I'm kind of like, well, that was cool of you. People can be mixed bags. They can be multiple things. PC, what do you know about anything? How do you know about her? You don't watch the news. You don't read books. How do you fucking know? Here's some Republicans talking some bullshit.
I couldn't be more disappointed. This is a man who was chairman of the Judiciary Committee for a long time. He absolutely knows what he recommended is unconstitutional.
He's referring to Biden about the Supreme Court limits. And okay, so on the majority report on, I don't think Emma was there, so it would have had to have been Wednesday. I think it was before Emma left, or maybe it was Thursday when it was Emma, but it was a interview with somebody and Sam had pre-taped it. That might have been it. it was someone on the Supreme Court reform, and they explained the term limits. I didn't know that this was the proposal. I don't know that this is the proposal, but it's one of a set of proposals that it would be an 18-year term, and then each president would get to appoint 2 each term. So if you're president for 2 terms, you get 4 appointments. If you get fucking interviews on the Majority Report are insanely informative. So if you're 2-term president, you get 4 appointments. They cycle out. So you would get a fresh new 2 judges every 4 years. I'm like, that makes sense. I'm kind of into that. But that is what McConnell is referring to. That is the Biden proposal to set term limits and an ethics code.
The Judiciary Committee for a long time. He absolutely knows what he recommended is unconstitutional, to try to limit the terms of Supreme Court justices who, under the Constitution, are appointed for life. That shows you the depths to which they have gone lately to attack the Supreme Court.
But the reason they were appointed for life was to remove them from politics. But we've seen the opposite and seen the judges get insanely involved in politics and corrupt the court. That's why we need to reform the court.
Because they don't like the current makeup of the court and decisions that they disapprove of. The way to change that is to win the presidency and the Senate and to appoint people that you like, but not to try to break the Supreme Court. We saw that even when they were reluctant to protect Supreme Court members who were being threatened at their homes.
No, they were being protested.
Level of that I think is just simply unacceptable. I'm disappointed in the president for doing it. I know he knows better, and such a proposal would be dead on arrival in Congress.
This is the worst disaster. 10 million illegals have come into this country since the Biden-Harris presidency, since they took office. And if you look at just the number of people who are coming into the country on the terrorist watch list, that's now approaching 400.
Why do I not know this dude's name? Who the fuck is this?
A national security crisis.
Does the AP tell me? This is okay, I guess this is Senator John Thune. They were misnumbered.
And it has been an absolute, utter, and abysmal failure on
exactly right, Ducky. That's what I was thinking.
Biden-Harris administration. The real important part of leadership is taking responsibility and finding solutions.
Well, thank you for being a freaking follower, PC. I would never boot you for a difference of opinion. But I don't also think you've really had a fucking difference of opinion. I think you just said some stupid shit that's not really informed.
We're willing to do on this issue. Now, the vice president is scheduled to go to Texas tomorrow, but I don't have any expectation that she's going to go down to the southern border and look at the problems that have been created by their policies. But the fact of the matter is, this administration and their policies have led us to where we have a disaster that is unprecedented in American history, made simply by their own policies.
No one's trying to silence your dumb ass. See, that's why I think you're a right-wing dipshit, because that's what right-wingers say. They're constantly trying to play victim. We're being silenced, we're being silenced. No, you're fucking not. You'll never shut up. Never shut up. And the right fucking owns all the goddamn media in this country. Every fucking boss I have had in my entire career in media has been a Republican. Liberal media my ass. Yeah, those of us that work in production, that are reporters and shit, yeah, we tend to swing to the left. But all the owners are Republicans. Absolute dipshits. Trump getting racist in Georgia while also attacking the governor who is incredibly popular. This, my friends, this ensures that Trump does not win the election in November. I am positive he needs Georgia to win. Harris is surging. We saw the Megan Thee Stallion rally last week. Trump goes to Georgia yesterday, attacks Brian Kemp, who is insanely popular in Georgia.
President Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance packed an Atlanta arena Saturday with supporters. Trump renewed his personal attacks on Vice President Harris at the rally, mocking again the pronunciation of her first name, insulting her intelligence, and calling her a phony. And it wasn't just Harris who Trump...
Tell me it's not racist that, like, the only 5 black people, 6 black people in the fucking crowd, they got stuck behind Trump.
The former president also went after the Georgia governor, Brian Kemp.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris spent her Saturday meeting with her vetting team to go over potential candidates for vice president. Today, she will meet with the finalists in her search for a running mate, with sources telling CNN a renewed focus has been placed on Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Now, she will continue face-to-face interviews with these final contenders and will likely not announce her final decision before her Tuesday night rally with her running mate in Philadelphia. For more on all of this, CNN's Elena Treen has the latest from Trump's Atlanta rally last night.
Well, Amra and Danny, former President Donald
Kelly, good evening.
On a Saturday.
Yeah, they had pyrotechnics too. He had like smoke machines pop up.
In to his attacks on Vice President Kamala Harris and really try to test drive new lines of those attacks as well, all as he's continuing to try and find the best way to define her. At one point he even kind of said the quiet part out loud and said, we have to try to define her. I want you to take a listen to what he said.
You know, 4 months ago, she was considered grossly incompetent by the fake news. Now they're saying, oh, isn't she wonderful? Isn't she wonderful? No, she's not wonderful. So we have to work hard to define her. I don't want to even define her. I just want to say who she is. She's a horror show.
I had the president of one of the radio stations I worked for, wonderful man, was a mentor of mine. He always told me, when you attribute something to a nebulous they, you are doing a disservice to people. They made Kamala Harris out to be incompetent. That is it's fallacious is what it is. But you're doing your audience a disservice.
You know, she'll destroy our country.
Now, Danny and Amber, I found that really interesting because it matches up with what I've been hearing.
OPC, we'll get to RFK here in a second. Don't worry.
Donald Trump's advisors, which is they're trying to still figure out the best way to go after Harris.
Was kind of a double negative there, wasn't it, Random?
Entire campaign thus far focusing on Joe Biden, not Harris. And he's really trying to figure out what works with the crowd, what the energy is like in the room. And we saw that on Saturday night. Now, we also heard him really go after Harris for having entertainers at her own rally in Atlanta. Also, at the same exact rally just earlier in the week, she had performers like Megan Thee Stallion perform, and Donald Trump said that he didn't like that he found it, quote, phony. Now, we know that line, phony, is something that he is continuing to try and work into his own speeches and try to paint Harris as someone.
Since we're talking about music at political rallies, I want to point out that the Isaac Hayes estate has once again sent a cease and desist to the Trump campaign to stop using Isaac Hayes music.
Who is fake. He also attempted to tie Harris to his former opponent, Hillary Clinton. He argued that Clinton had Bruce Springsteen performed for her back in the lead up to 2016, and he said he never would forget that. He also went on to say, I have a bad trait, and that is I only like people who like me. Now, another very notable thing, Danny,
because you're a malignant narcissist,
repeatedly went after the Georgia Republican governor, Brian Kemp, as well as the state's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger. And remember, they both were very key to the 2020 election and ensuring that Georgia's elections weren't rife with fraud, something that they have said repeatedly. Donald Trump called Kemp disloyal multiple times. And I think I should note here that Kemp had not supported Donald Trump in the primary, but later went on to say that he would support him in November. Amra, Danny?
Yes, he actually tweeted out after Donald Trump attacked him and his family that he's trying to win the election in November. Oh my God. Republicans are just like, they're the people that call other people cucks. It's insane.
Elena Treen, thank you very much. Now, Vice President Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, acknowledged in a statement to CNN that he had an affair during his first marriage.
This comes after a British tabloid published alleged details of this relationship, and CNN's Priscilla Alvarez has the story.
And how in the fuck is an adulterer like Donald Trump?
Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, acknowledged to CNN that he had an affair during his first marriage after alleged details of that relationship were published in a British tabloid. In a statement exclusively to CNN, Emhoff said the following, quote, "During my first marriage, Kirsten and I went through some tough times on account of my actions. I took responsibility, and in the years since, we worked through things as a family and have come out stronger on the other side." Now, that tabloid, the Daily Mail, reported that Emhoff had a relationship with his then young daughter's teacher, which resulted in the end of his first marriage. Now, sources tell CNN the relationship and the circumstances were disclosed to Joe Biden's vetting committee 4 years ago when Kamala Harris was being considered the running mate. Now, we were also told by sources that Emhoff had...
I don't know clinically
about the affair before they got married as well.
And why would it be an attack from the campaign of a multiple-time adulterer who literally just got convicted of fucking fraud for sleeping with a porn star while his wife was pregnant with his kid? Absurd.
Well, now Emhoff's 2 children are now adults, and the family dynamic has been described as a friendly one, with the ex-wife Kirsten Emhoff also weighing in on Saturday, saying, quote, "He is a great father to our kids, continues to be a great friend to me, and I am really proud of the warm and supportive blended family Doug, Kamala, and I have built together." Doug Emhoff has been on the campaign trail, and that is expected to pick up over the next few weeks and months.
All right, Priscilla Alvarez, thank you very much. Joining me now is political reporter for Bloomberg, Stephanie Lai. Good morning to you, Stephanie. Thanks so much for being with us. Let's start with the Trump-Vance rally at the Georgia State University Convocation Center. And Trump's words, once again, were, "We have to work hard to define her." I mean, he's acknowledging here that they're struggling to craft a message to blunt the VP's momentum. And we're just, 90-some days out from the election.
I think that's a really good point, because in a lot of ways, Kamala Harris's entrance into the race was unexpected. You know, for months, people had been saying that they wouldn't swap her in because she has low favorability. But the moment she got in the race,
come on now, if I was advising the Trump campaign, I would have had a backup plan ready to go. It's amazing to me that they were caught this flat-footed, and that is just sheer arrogance on their part.
It seemed like there was a new breath of life in the Democratic Party. And so for the Trump campaign, it's really quintessential for them to be able to blunt that momentum, to, sort of paint her in a certain way that will dissuade independent voters, swing state voters, anyone who might have been on the fence on either Trump or Biden and might now be feeling more that they're leaning towards Harris. And I think that rally yesterday night really painted that clear, because in a lot of ways in the last couple of weeks, Republicans have been sort of tinkering with different ideas. How do we really get the voters to recognize what Kamala Harris's brand is, right? And so at first, some Republicans had been trying to paint her as a DEI candidate, and many warned that that might not sit well with voters. And so really right now, the goal is to figure out what policies, what sort of attack lines will really resonate with voters.
All right, well, they've got a shortened timeline, so they got to figure that out fast. So, of course, Trump veered off message during his speech, and instead of fully focusing on his opponent, he tore into the Georgia
Bruce Springsteen
Kemp, who was conspicuously absent, by the way. And before the rally, he was also going off on True Social about Brian Kemp and his wife. Here's just some of the back and forth. Listen.
Insane.
Atlanta is like a killing field, and your governor ought to get off his ass and do something about it. He's a bad guy, he's a disloyal guy, and he's a very average governor.
Okay, and the Governor Kemp responded with this post on X saying, "My focus is on winning this November and saving our country from Kamala Harris and the Democrats, not engaging and petty personal insults, attacking fellow Republicans or dwelling on the past. You should do the same, Mr. President, and leave my family out of it. I'm surprised to hear from Elena Trine that Kemp is saying he will still vote for Trump this November. But Trump attacking the popular governor of a key battleground?
You're from a state that literally pays its goddamn citizens a fucking dividend based on their mineral rights. I don't need government in my life. Buddy, I'm hearing what you're saying. You're just another privileged, right-wing, libertarian-thinking asshole. Clinically, fucking jinx, motherfucker. Literally, you would not, buddy, you would have never been out of Alaska if it hadn't been for the government. See, this is the difference between you and I. I'm from Appalachia. I know what the government did for me. If they didn't build the roads and the schools that educated me, if they didn't blast the sides of the mountains, if they didn't move the river that flooded my fucking town every 5 to 7 years, I wouldn't have had the quality of life that I had. The Army Corps of Engineers literally worked wonders in the city that I am from. I have seen the government fundamentally change people's lives for the better. I acknowledge what the government can do. People like you have grown up privileged, don't even understand how the government has worked in your benefit, and then come here and say stupid shit like that. Keeping me fucking building fucking schools was keeping me safe. Building roads so I had economic development. In a town where when I left in 2007, 27% of the population still didn't have an indoor toilet. And if it wasn't for the government's investment in coal, we would have never been able to do anything like that. You do not understand how every fucking privilege you have in your life was given to you by the government. You had fucking access to shit because of the government that other people didn't. And now you want to turn around and you want to fucking bring that ladder up so other people can't use it. Yeah, dude, that's why I vote for politicians that make government work for the people.
State, I mean, that could backfire.
It was kind of unexpected from this last rally. I'm not going to lie. It seems like, the whole point was to paint Kamala Harris in a certain light, and having this 5 to 10 minute tangent didn't really match with the rest of the rally. But, of course, we do know the former president and his tendencies. And so this, in some ways is him rehashing some of his past gripes. A lot of strategists have been saying that this might not play well because a lot of headlines today are really focusing on his past vendetta with the governor instead of, all the things that he said about Kamala Harris. So it sort of veered away from the campaign message, but, it's not that out of the ordinary.
Yeah, and what's not out of the ordinary is to also hear Trump say it's my way or the highway, this time referring to the debate during that rally. He said,
thanks, Obama, indeed.
Kamala Harris on Fox News on September 4th. I mean, do you see a scenario where there might not be a debate at all, and instead Trump using the airtime on Fox to, do his one-on-one interview, and Kamala Harris doing the same thing on ABC News?
It's very possible.
Mitochondria.
President Trump decide not to do debates throughout the primary. And so he already has a strategy on what to do if there is no such debate. But it is a very different message than what they've been sending before, which is that we do want to ensure that the American public has the ability to see these two candidates side by side. But of course, they were saying earlier that they're waiting for Kamala Harris to
You didn't school anybody, PC. Jesus,
no guarantee up until she was actually nominated. And so the debate over debate continues, and we'll see if anything comes from that. But as of now, it seems like we're sort of at an impasse.
Okay, and now to the Veep stakes. Lastly, Tuesday, we will see Harris with her running mate.
So we're getting an announcement tomorrow, I assume.
In Philadelphia. As we understand.
Okay, here's my thing. I have thought pretty confidently it was going to be Walz or Beshear. Those are my two top picks. I'm Beshear Walz. A lot of people are Walz Beshear, I think. Either is fine with me. I see advantages to both. I saw Google searches today, Google Trends for the 5 top contenders: Beshear, Walz, Shapiro, Kelly, Buttigieg. And to my fucking shock, never even thought about it, Pete Buttigieg was the top search in like 40 out of 50 states. Took me completely aback. I didn't know that Pete Buttigieg, is he on MSNBC a lot? You guys know I don't really watch it. Is he on the like the lib cable news circuit a lot? Is he on Pod Save America a lot and shit? Okay, then that would explain it, and I'm just oblivious. Oh, he goes on Fox? Shit. Okay. Mox, if I told you good evening. Okay, that explains it then, because it's not been on my radar at all. So now I'm kind of flipped, and I'm like, it's probably going to be Pete Buttigieg, isn't it? Definitely. Dougie's of the opinion that the more the progressives come out against Shapiro, the more the Democrats are probably going to pick him. But I've seen a lot of people, and apparently Nancy is pushing for Walz. That's one of the reasons I'm like, good Nancy. So it really is kind of a toss-up on those 5. I guess I'm pretty okay with Mark Kelly. But in my personal opinion, I think her best pick is Andy Beshear. I think he plays well in North Carolina, Kentucky. I think he plays well in Ohio. You have him go campaign for Sherrod Brown. Because that's one of the things that even if you don't think that the Dems can win Ohio on the presidential ticket, you can at least cut down on the votes. You can at least cut down on the margin and build something for next time in Ohio. Plus, you've got to run up the score for Sherrod Brown. So Andy would be great to go and campaign for Brown in Ohio. I think Andy would play well in Minnesota, Montana, campaigning for Tester. So that's my opinion. Pete is a war veteran, but also, okay, I don't want to have to say it. Do you know the episode of Sunny in Philadelphia where Frank bets them that they'd have to sleep with an old man? And then they find out that the old man is black, and they're like, that's 2 things. That's 2 things. I can't deal with that. That's what... Black Indian woman, gay guy, that's 2 things. America is pretty fucking racist, pretty fucking bigoted. Yeah. Fucking Frank bet them that they couldn't live out in suburbia for a month. Oh shit, what Kelly question? I didn't see it, Drake. I'm sorry. I was in a rant. Kelly is an American hero. Kelly is an American hero. I'm not seeing a question. I mean, he's absolutely an American hero. I'm totally cool with Kelly. He's not my favorite. And I also think like he's kind of... I love that he's married to Gabby Giffords because I love Gabby. I think that he's still a little fresh, right? Which I mean, they may be wanting to go with that. He's only been in politics for 2 years or 4 years. We covered his election. It was 2 years ago, right? Fucking the years are running together on me now. So we were talking with PC about the racism of Trump supporters earlier. Well, let me lay this one on you. Byron Donalds, representative from Florida, was on with George Stephanopoulos this morning. What year is it? I don't even fucking know what year it is. 2020? Byron Donalds was on with George Stephanopoulos to defend Trump's racism against Kamala Harris.
President Trump questioning the vice president's racial identity?
Well, first, George, in Chicago, he was responding to a question from, I believe, Rachel Scott. Like, this is really a phony controversy. I don't really care. Most people do.
Ida, good evening.
But if we're going to be accurate, when Kamala Harris went into the United States Senate, it was AP that said she was the first Indian American United States senator. It was actually played up.
Yes. You absolute fucking dipshit. Because she wouldn't be the first black senator. There's already been black senators.
Up a lot when she came into the Senate. Now she's running nationally. Obviously, the campaign has shifted. They're talking much more about her father's heritage and her black identity. It doesn't really matter. The president mentioned it. What he also talks about far more frequently is the fact that Kamala Harris is the person who created this massive inflation, which is destroying black families, white families, Hispanic families. It's her failure as border czar that has left our southern border wide open, more than 10 million illegal immigrants coming into our country, record fentanyl coming into our country, which has killed more Americans than at any other point in the history of our country with respect specifically to fentanyl. And the fact that she and Joe Biden have unleashed one of the worst foreign policies in the history of our country that has us on the verge of World War III. That is Kamala Harris's record. President Trump talks about that frequently, but yes, he did mention it in Chicago in response to a question from Rachel Scott.
And you just repeated the slur again. If it doesn't matter, why do you all keep questioning her identity? She's always identified as a black woman. She is biracial. She has a Jamaican father and an Indian mother. She's always identified as both. Why are you questioning that?
Well, George, first of all, this is something that's actually a conversation throughout social media right now. There were a lot of people who are trying to figure this out. But again, that's a side.
There's nothing to figure out.
The main issue.
Sir, 1 second. You just did it. You just did it again.
Of the United States.
Why do you insist on questioning her racial identity?
You want me to talk?
I want you to answer my question.
George, now that you're done yelling at me, let me answer. He talked about it on the stage yesterday in Atlanta for, 2 minutes? He spent more than 35, 40 minutes going after her record, talking about how radical of a senator that she was. She was the most.
I didn't watch it, but I doubt it.
In the United States, in the United States Senate. That is a fact. He talked about the job that she did as vice president of the United States, a job, I will add, which has been a failure for the American people. I know you guys like to glom on to this about in jest or in a.
Hey, this is weird. They're going to try to attack her on the border, that she was the border czar. Immigration is at the levels it was when Trump left office. They're going to attack her because her husband cheated on his first wife. The serial adulterer is going to attack her because her husband cheated on his first wife. This is insane. This is hilarious.
In a serious manner for about a minute or so, but what you do not cover.
They live in fantasy world.
Of Kamala Harris. That's what you're not covering, George.
So questioning somebody's racial identity for a couple minutes is okay?
George, I'm going to tell you again, he brought it up. AP is the one that wrote the headline when she first came in to the United States Senate. Didn't talk about her being black, talked about her being the first Indian American.
Because she wasn't the first black senator, you dipshit. He has to know that. He can't be that stupid, right? Right? Like, he just knows that his followers, Trump supporters, are that stupid.
Senator, AP brought that up. I mean, George, we could have this conversation for the entire segment, but none of this matters to the American people. What matters to the American people is, are we going to have the same policies of the Biden-Harris administration that has been destructive of the American people, or are we going to have the policies of the Trump administration, which put America first, had low inflation, prosperous Americans, no matter your race, no matter your color, no matter your creed, and a foreign policy that kept America safe. Those are the facts that truly matter, because this issue is going to come and go. The lives of the American people is what's going to remain, and that's what matters more than anything else.
Yes, Shelley is right. PC, man, do you not notice the difference between the right and the left? When the left talks about race, it's in like celebration. Oh, she was the first Indian American senator. Oh, that's an awesome thing. Hey, how cool is that? When the right talks about race, it's, oh my God, they're taking our jobs. They're coming for us. They are taking something from us. Do you not see the difference between the two?
If it doesn't matter, I don't understand why you keep on repeating it, why the president keeps on repeating it, why those introducing the president yesterday
George,
keep on
actually,
repeating
I'm not
it.
the one who keeps repeating it. George, you're the one that's bringing it up now. That's you.
You've done it,
I understand why
sir.
you
You've done it.
up.
You've done it
Because,
3 times. Every single answer
George,
you gave me. Now let me finish, sir.
George,
Every single answer you gave, you repeated the slur.
Asked me, George. That's why I'm pushing back on you now. George, you asked me the question 3 times. I responded, but I'm.
And every
about
single
what
time you
truly
repeat
matters
the
in this
slur.
election.
That is exactly my point. You simply can't say that it's wrong.
George, so then what you're saying, and I want to get off this topic because it's not the only thing that's going on. But George, now you're saying that AP is the one that slurred Kamala Harris, because those are the facts. You can go to the internet and look at the clips, George.
No, you're the one slurring her.
If you want to, or we can talk about this now. I prefer to talk about the future of our country, because the American people are struggling. The American people do need serious policy decisions to be made, and they need serious leadership on the world stage. Kamala Harris has not proven that she can do that. Donald J. Trump has proven that he can do that.
AP did not say that Kamala Harris is not black. She is biracial. She is Indian. She is black. You continue to repeat the fact that you continue to repeat the slur. I don't understand why you and the president do it, but it's clear you're not going to say that it's wrong. And you've now established that for our audience. Trump also said at the convention that he would pardon January 6 rioters.
Everybody look for themselves. Let's move on.
I've already said that. Go ahead.
On the internet, everybody. Let's move on. There we go.
Good. You go on and repeat the slurs again. Trump also said at the convention that he would.
Wow. Yes, that was such a great interview, but PC said the dumbest thing possibly I've ever heard, that Trump doesn't care about power. The malignant narcissist, the megalomaniac, who all he talks about is him, who came out during the Republican convention with this name behind him in big fucking bold lights, who has his name on fucking he doesn't care about power. I alone can fix it. Like, buddy, PC, man. You are fucking dumb. Like, I feel like you're kind of a good-hearted, like, fucking idiot. I'm glad to have you here, but, like, seriously, that's fucking stupid. Yeah, when you're famous, they let him grab you by the pussy. And yes, he is a convicted felon. It's not after sentencing. He's been convicted. I can say one way or another. It's clear. Anyone with fucking eyes can look and see when he says it. I'm gonna be a dictator on day 1. Holy shit, dude. You're an idiot. You are fucking stupid. Link for what, my man? I'm already way behind and way off track. Yeah, you'll never have to vote again. Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted. I've got a cat. I think I'll call him George. PC, I'm not spouting off anything from media. Every single thing that we cited was from Trump directly, you dumb fuck! Holy shit! They literally gave you multiple direct quotes from him. We have watched, you can go to my YouTube channel and see we have watched numerous Trump speeches, rallies. We have covered Trump profusely on this channel. You are an idiot. Holy shit. No, I don't think you're good at reading people. You think the dude that puts his fucking name on everything, the grifter, the known grifter for his entire life, doesn't care about power. Why is he controls the Republican Party, dipshit? There is no platform. There is no policy platform. It's just fealty to Trump. That is literally the policy platform of the Republican Party. You are stupid. Joey, good evening. Fucking shit, you're dumb, dude. Seriously. Donald Trump doesn't care about power. Astoundingly stupid. It does make you stupid because you are saying something that is absurd. It is completely dumb. How can you see things differently? The chat gave you fucking 50 fucking quotes. I gave you numerous examples. You didn't fucking give us a counter argument. You're just like, well, I have a difference of opinion. Your opinion is stupid. It is not my opinion. Donald Trump is a megalomaniac. You stupid fuck. It grew. God, I love you, Mox. I'm glad he hit the back to the news with it. Back to the news.
Your voice, your vote. Now to the latest on the presidential race. Vice President Kamala Harris expected to announce her running mate pretty soon. Meantime, former President Trump has been campaigning in a key battleground state. ABC's Mark Remillard this morning has more.
Vice President Kamala Harris on the cusp of choosing her running mate. Sources tell ABC News Harris, who secured enough votes to become the Democratic presidential nominee, is meeting with candidates, including popular first-term Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, a former prosecutor, Arizona Senator and retired astronaut Mark Kelly, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. Former Attorney General Eric Holder's law firm conducting the high-stakes vetting process. Her opponent, Donald Trump, speaking to supporters at a campaign rally in Georgia Saturday.
I'm thrilled to be back in the great state of Georgia. I love Georgia. With thousands of proud, hardworking Americans.
He ripped off a veterans charity, like just the laundry list. Like I have forgotten about all of the horrible things that he has done because he's done so many horrible things since. It's just insane. Ripped off a veterans charity by buying gigantic. And here's the thing. Dude doesn't care about power, but he ripped off a veterans charity by buying gigantic fucking portraits of, I did it. Gigantic portraits of himself. And then, like, charging the charity to store them at his property. It's insane. Trump University. And then to counter the insanely, the factual charges, you question whether he was a rapist. But yet you're calling people, you're telling me I don't know the man, I don't know that he's a rapist, even though he's a convicted rapist, and then you're calling people idiots on stage for twerking. How in the world do you square that? Do you not see your bias? Do you not see how you're a right-wing imbecile?
American patriots.
Trump joined by running mate J.D. Vance.
She's asking us for a promotion, and I think it's time to say to Kamala Harris, you're fired.
Georgia, which went to President Biden, is a battleground state decided by fewer than 12,000 votes in 2020. With just over 3 months until the election, ABC's 538 polling average shows a very tight race.
Buddy, if you're telling me that you don't have proof that Trump is a convicted rapist or a convicted felon, or that he ripped off a veterans charity, then you're just not informed. Why do you have opinions on things you don't know about? He has been convicted. I don't think you understand. Yes, he has been convicted by a jury. He is a convicted rapist. He is a convicted felon. Found guilty is convicted. Sentenced is sentence. I do know the law. You don't. That's what I'm talking about, PC. You're saying stuff that's absurd and then acting like I'm an idiot. And you wonder why you get treated the way you do.
Harris up 1.5 points over Donald Trump nationally, shrinking the margins he had over President Biden prior to his dropping out. In crucial swing states, Harris now has a slight edge over Trump in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Trump says he's accepted an invitation to debate Harris on Fox News on September 4th. Harris has not accepted the Fox invitation. Trump and President Biden had both accepted an ABC News invitation to debate on September 10th. Now that Biden has left the race, Harris said she would keep that commitment to the ABC debate. Trump has falsely claimed the ABC debate is, quote, terminated, but the ABC invitation to both candidates remains.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC 7.
Thanks, Mark. Always appreciate you. You say people don't like facts, but you have no facts. Trump is a convicted rapist. That's a fact. You don't like facts. Trump is a convicted felon. You don't like facts. Do you not see that? Are you dumb or are you a dishonest actor? Show you where what? And yes, it is insane that Trump is now trying to call Kamala a chicken. Oh yeah, I need to take the ads. All right, if you're not subbed, you're going to get ads. We got so much more, including crime stuff. I'm going to be here like fucking 3. God damn it. We're going to be here until 3 in the morning. God damn. God, Gonna be here till 3 in the morning. Because it'll take me that long to get through the 10 minutes. What are you even talking? Common law, blah, blah, blah. Oh, did I say guilty? I'm usually really good about that. Yes, he was found liable for rape. He was convicted of sexual assault, but in New York State, the way the law is written, like penetration with a digit is sexual assault and doesn't fall under rape. But under federal law and most state laws and normal parlance, penetration with a digit is indeed rape. Well, he is guilty of rape because he raped E. Jean Carroll. Well, unfortunately, with the rape charge, it also wasn't rape; it was defamation. She sued him for defamation, but in the course of proving defamation, she proved that she was raped by him. What are you talking about? I have zero proof of what? You absolute nonce. Stop myself from cussing. Because a court found him liable for rape. Seriously, what more do you need? And he also literally bragged about raping women. I grabbed them by the pussy. He has indeed been adjudicated as a rapist, so why? And like, seriously, man, you're trying to tell me you're not a right-winger, but you say the same things all the right-wingers say. Then why are you defending Donald Trump so much? You have attacked Harris for nothing and defended Trump, who scammed a veterans charity, who was found liable for rape, who is guilty of fraud. I don't get it. You don't like facts. You have been very allergic to facts tonight. All right, guys. Welcome back from commercial break. This is one I'm sure all of you are going to enjoy. I can see the boners starting to pop up right now. Elon Musk PAC being investigated by Michigan Secretary of State for potential violations. A political action committee backed by Elon Musk is being investigated by the Michigan Secretary of State's office. Musk said he created and helped fund the American PAC, which he is supporting Donald Trump. To be sure, legal experts could not point to any state laws that may have been broken by the PAC. A political action committee, I'm sure they did though. A political action committee backed by billionaire Elon Musk is being investigated by Michigan Secretary of State's office amid efforts to collect voter data. Musk, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, has said he created and helped fund the America PAC, which is supporting former President Donald Trump. Musk has a net worth of $225 billion. The committee has been acquiring detailed voter information from those living in Michigan and other battleground states after people submit their personal data through a section on the... Oh, yes! Yes. This is the one that definitely looks like it's a misinformation. It's a PAC website that says register to vote. After clicking on the register to vote tab on America's PAC website, users in states like Michigan can submit a zip code, address, and phone number. People with a Michigan address are brought to a page that says thank you and asks users to complete the form below to help wrap up their voter registration process. As of Sunday afternoon, though, there was no other form to complete below the words thank you. Every citizen should know exactly how their personal information is being used by PACs, especially if an entity is claiming it will help people register to vote in Michigan or any other state. While the America PAC is a federal political action committee, the department is reviewing their activities to determine if there have been any violations of state law. We will refer potential violations to the Michigan Attorney General's office as appropriate. CNBC first reported on the group's efforts and how the site does not directly register people to vote for those with an address in a swing state. So they're just collecting information through fraud. These people are an embarrassment. You know who else is an embarrassment? Whoever this dumb fuck was that in content warning for bear violence This is a NBC New York report from about 10 years ago, I believe. 10 years ago. Where a bear was found. Ah, shit. A bear was found in Central Park, New York.
The discovery of a black bear by a dog walker just a few feet from Central Park's main jogging and bike path today was alarming and strange, especially for New Yorkers like Helen Zokanich, who's come here almost every day for decades. How unusual is that?
Very unusual. I've never seen a bear. I mean, I've lived in New York City all my life, and I've gone to Central Park with
Hello Kitty
dogs. I mean, I've never seen a bear.
Raccoons and other things, but not bears, lots of dogs.
The NYPD is investigating and quickly told us there are no reports of any bears missing from the Central Park Zoo, quashing the first theory from passers-by like the cyclists and pedicabs.
We have a little small zoo, but in the zoo we don't have a bear. Maybe I escape from there. But
they're saying there's no animals missing from the zoo.
Right. It's a big surprise. I don't know.
The dog walker who found the cub told a member of the Central Park Conservancy, which runs Central Park. They called police. The Conservancy told News 4, whenever any wildlife is hurt or harmed, we are upset about it. But the discovery became a mystery, with some wondering, had the bear been killed elsewhere and dumped here?
If you can do that to an animal, why not to a human being?
More so wondering how it got here. I've never seen a bear here before.
Is that Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Wildlife officials tell us that the bear was removed in a bag and taken in a State Department of Environmental Conservation car up to Albany, where a necropsy, essentially an autopsy, will be performed as they try and figure out just what happened to this baby bear. In Central Park, Andrew Siff, News 4 New York.
So I just played you that news report from 10 years ago about a bear being found in Central Park. Would you believe me if I told you that bear had something to do with a presidential candidate? Let's hear it from his mouth.
I was taking a group of people falconing up in Goshen, New York, up in the Hudson Valley. And I was supposed to meet them there at like maybe 8 or 9. I was driving up maybe, really early, like 7. And then...
Also, yes, he's talking to Roseanne.
Woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it, a young bear. So I pulled over and
Hayes, good evening.
The bear and put him in the back of my van because I was going to skin the bear.
Curious.
And it was very good.
Good evening.
And I was going to put the meat in my refrigerator. And you can do that in New York State. You can get a bear tag for a roadkill bear. And so then we went hawking, and I had the bear in my car. And then we had a really good day, and we went late. We were catching a lot of game, and the people really loved it, so we stayed late. And instead of going back to my home in Westchester, I had to go right to the city because there was a dinner at Peter Luger's Steakhouse. And at the end of the dinner, it went late, and I realized I couldn't go home. I had to go to the airport. And the bear was in my car, and I didn't want to leave the bear in the car because that would have been bad. So then I thought, at that time, this was a little bit of the redneck in me. There'd been a series of bicycle accidents in New York. They had just put in the bike lanes. And saw a couple of people had gotten killed, and it was every day, and people had gotten badly injured. Every day it was in the press. And so I thought...
This is before the brain worms, isn't it, Flo?
I wasn't drinking, of course, but people were drinking with me who thought this was a good idea. And I said, I had an old bike in my car that somebody asked me to get rid of it. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike. It'll be funny for people. So
it'll be funny for people.
That's a great idea. So we went and did that. And we
Sappy, good evening.
Be amusing for whoever found it or something. The next day, it was like, it was on every television station. It was the front page of every paper. And I turned on the TV and there was like a mile of yellow tape and there were 20 cop cars. There were helicopters flying over it. And I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And And then there was some people on TV in Tyvek suits with gloves on lifting up the bike, and they're saying they're going to take this up to Albany to get a fingerprinted.
Uh-oh.
And I was worried because my prints were all over that bike.
Wow.
The story died down after a while, and it stayed dead for a decade. And the New Yorker somehow found out about it.
Yeah, this is him getting ahead of it.
Big article on me, and that's one of the articles. So they asked me, the fact checkers, and it's going to be a bad story. Right?
I think it's a great story.
I think it's a great story, someone said. Wow. So, by the way, this was him getting ahead of this. This was the video yesterday, that it came out. Curiouser, why'd you time him out? He wasn't doing anything. All mods, stop being timeout fucking happy. God damn it. I had to go revoke some mod statuses. If nobody is breaking TOS, they're cool. They can stay. Here's a Smokey. Exactly. Let the chud stay. And people enjoy it. I know. Curiouser definitely doesn't like me yelling and ranting all the time. She's heard enough of it in her life. For those that are unaware, Curiouser is my ex-girlfriend. She has heard me rant and yell enough in her life. And I totally get that. Oh. Anybody in the chat watch General Hospital? I breaking TO. I mean, he's not saying anything that any other right-winger doesn't say. I had a whole debate with a dude for an hour about whether Trump raped her or not. Fair enough, Flo. Fair enough. I can't help myself. I try to do what's right for the show and not engage with every comment. But God, do I love trolling people. Like it's an addiction of mine. I have to stop myself.
Hey, Justin, are you trolling?
I did it for about 4 hours this afternoon. It's noon, and I get on Twitter, and then all of a sudden my battery was dead. It'd been 4 hours later. Daily Lurker shout out. I love it. I love this. I love our new segment. First of all, I'm going to say Thread has not commented. You were in here. Good evening, Thread. T the Terry, good evening, my friend. You are the Daily Lurkers shout out of the day. We're glad to have you here in the chat. You don't have to respond. I just want to say hey to people that may not be participating. Good evening, everyone. Flo, that is true. It's a balance, but also I want to do a show. I'm more geared towards doing an actual show. And I'm also, we're also on, hell yeah, I love that you're listening. I love your avatar. Are we having fun yet? I don't know if you've been watching this show for any amount of time. And also the show is on YouTube. And when we get to debate season and we're covering Senate debates and shit, people on YouTube hate it when I talk. So I try to only make jokes when the moderator is asking the question. I try to let all the candidates speak. Demands being made. Cicero, thank you for the sub. PC, give it out. 5 community subs. Wow. And see, you try. Curious or timed them out. Buying respect. No hard feelings, brother, but you are stupid. You are very dumb. Law 3 Dog. I didn't know you were here, but I love you, man. I'm glad to have you here. I'm sorry, I gendered you. I don't know your gender. I just assumed Law 3 Dog is a man. Thank you, PC Avatar. I greatly appreciate you. The paradigm shift. Oh yes, fucking acknowledge him. Oh God, I hope Battle Opossum isn't still in here. A paradigm shift. Battle Opossum had been gone all weekend, and he had just got home. And he was watching SummerSlam from last night. He had just came in here. I saw it during a rant. He's like, the era of Gunther has started. So I figured he had gone out to his shed and he was smoking, getting ready to watch the main event. So I hope he's not still in here. I hope he's watching it right now. And you didn't just spoil it for him. But I mean, we kind of figured he was coming back, right? But acknowledge him. I just don't know how I'm going to feel about a good guy Roman Reigns. I loved heel Roman Reigns. I just hope he doesn't go all cheesy. I'm here for it, but I don't want him to go cheesy. Hell yeah, Bill. You're right, paradigm shift. Took 10 years to get that pop, and my God, was that was a Road Warrior pop. That was a Stone Cold pop. I will probably rate out the Echoplex, of course, dog. I was going to jump on last night, but he already had a guest, and I didn't want... I feel like 3 gets a little crowded. That's why if you saw me lurking in different channels last night around that time, I was about... We're going to talk about Hulk Hogan later in this show, PC. Turns out he's pretty cool with racists, as most Trump supporters are. All right, guys, we're getting into the crime section of the show, so as always, I'll give you a content warning. We do know because we have him on video dropping N-bombs multiple times, talking about how he didn't want his daughter to date an N-word. We know that Hulk Hogan is a racist. Wow, PC. So if you're kind of squeamish with the crime stories, come back and maybe... I think the child dying in the bouncy house is funny, but that probably isn't going to be funny. But you do want to be here for the dude lassoing an alligator. So I'd say give us... There's not that many gruesome stories tonight. Stick with us. Stick with us. You can make it through. LAPD releasing images of a suspect in the murder of a former actor and General Hospital.
Now this just in. For the first time, the LAPD has released 2 images of the suspects who shot and killed actor Johnny Wachter back in May. The first image shows the car police are looking for a 2018 black Infiniti Q50. The second image is of the 3 suspects. They say one of the suspects has a tattoo above his left eye and on the right cheek. Wachter, known for his role on General Hospital, was confronting the men who were trying to steal the catalytic converter from his car when he was shot in the chest.
What? Curious, sir.
No arrest.
Jinx.
Police, of course, need the public's help to catch these suspects. If you have any information, you can contact the LAPD.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
Thank you, Mark. Paradigm shift, omnipresent. I love it. I love his presence all over Twitch. Man, I enjoyed SummerSlam so much. Had to get me talking about wrestling. We got a couple of wrestling stories at the end of the show, not just Hogan. We're going to go to Maryland, where serious complaints filed against dozens of Massachusetts police instructors.
Questions about who's training new police officers in Massachusetts. A months-long WBZ investigation has uncovered some pretty serious complaints against dozens of instructors at the state's police academies. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Courtney Cole.
And I'm Lisa Hughes. WBZ's Louisa Moeller shows us how the state committee in charge has changed its code of conduct since she started asking questions.
There is no such thing as a routine traffic stop.
This is a video shown to police officers in training this year by the Municipal Police Training Committee, or MPTC.
For passenger side approach, the advantages include element of surprise.
And the officer doing the demo, he's not legally allowed to be a police officer in Massachusetts. That's former Hudson police officer Kevin Johnson. This video taken of him before his certification to be an officer was suspended.
Surprise, surprise.
MPTC still showing it to police recruits even after he was convicted of a misdemeanor crime. Court documents state Johnson was arrested for assaulting and kicking a man in the head and pushing his girlfriend. MPTC and its instructors are in charge of training every...
Did you know, I was thinking about this. I like the job. You do have one. You got the Donor Appreciation Society. Fleabag, good evening. The job of police officer attracts. Is it not set to where you guys have it? I don't know what emotes you have and don't have. Yeah, there it is. Boom. The Chris Dorner Appreciation Society. It's hard to see what it says. It's hard to see that it has Chris Dorner on the badge. So I guess I should make like a bigger one, I guess. It has the best cop in the world on the badge. But like, the job of policing attracts psychopaths and sociopaths by the nature of the job. And I think you kind of want somebody with those traits in that position. The problem is that we have to have a real tight leash on them, and we don't. Instead, in this country, we treat them like they're heroes. We sanctify them. We saintly, make them saintly. Go. You want somebody who's a sociopath out here, you know, willing to pull the trigger on somebody who is a threat. The problem is, like, you got somebody who don't know right from wrong, and they've got power. They're gonna exert it over people. So there needs to be a really tight system to keep them constrained. We don't need to treat cops like, you know, they're fucking saints that can do no wrong.
Every new police officer at academies like this across the state, with training for current officers online. So we wanted to know who else is teaching the police officers of tomorrow.
You have a specific cat you want.
Obtained a list of MPTC's roughly 2,500.
Bogey and socks are handy.
Salem State University interim captain Stephen Turcotte is on there. Turcotte was the subject of a 2012 WBZ I-Team investigation. Salem State settled a lawsuit against him, accusing him of sexual harassment and gender discrimination. In total, WBZ found 46 MPTC instructors with serious sustained complaints against them.
I'll refill my tea.
Who had their MPTC instructor certifications suspended since we started investigating. One had their instructor certification reinstated after an appeal. Among them, we found officers accused of falsifying timesheets, others involved in alleged domestic violence. Was arrested, then arrested again for violating a order against the same victim, off-duty assault and battery, another accused of illegal drug use, an officer accused of consuming alcohol before their shift, yet another allegedly used a police information system to conduct searches on 7 people unrelated to his police work. All 46 in violation of the MPTC's Code of Conduct.
It starts with a small...
Debbie, good evening.
And that becomes something that's accepted. Then it leads to another one, and that becomes accepted.
Larry Smith is a former Massachusetts State Police sergeant who runs a firm that investigates law enforcement. He argues MPTC...
Terry, I dispute you because I have seen Police Academy.
The helm of Executive Director Robert Perullo, who retired this week. In April, WBZ revealed a Stoneham police officer who resigned from his job for allegedly saying the N-word was an MPTC instructor. The committee subsequently decertified him. Last summer, WBZ's I-Team learned a cheating investigation was underway at 2 MPTC academies, and 4 student officers were disciplined at the time.
The executive director that is in charge, he was in charge for all of these.
MPTC told us in a statement, the Municipal Police Training Committee remains deeply committed to ensuring that our staff and nearly 2,500 instructors uphold the highest standards of integrity, competence, and professionalism. The committee says it started a notification process where the state's Police Oversight Commission, called POST, will alert them if an officer is suspended or decertified. And it's now requiring instructors to self-report complaints against them. Here's the governor.
Do you think there needs to be a deeper probe into people who are training the police of tomorrow in this state? I'm committed to, as a former attorney general and now as governor, making sure that we have the right personnel and people in place when it comes to all public safety matters.
Louisa Moeller, WBZ News.
We should point out, WBZ reached out to the various police departments mentioned in that story, and none of them commented.
Of course. You know, I think I've come around to maybe not all cops are bastards. If you can present me with a cop that has arrested multiple other cops, not just one, give me a cop that has arrested multiple other cops, and I'll give him a pass and say he's not a bastard. He might be one of the good ones. I try to be fair. All right, I know I'm gonna laugh at this story, and I should not laugh, and I apologize. Fair enough. I'm totally cool with you guys disagreeing. Fair enough. Well, see, my reasoning for saying all cops are bad and can't be trusted, or that, you know, if they're not policing all the other bad cops, then they can't be good cops. So that's why I'm saying I'll make an exception. If you show me a cop that has arrested other cops for breaking the law, mute the streamer. I'm sorry, my talking. I'm not getting enough news for you tonight. My apologies. I'm being too cop apologist for you. Also, I got a bone to pick with Curiouser. Speaking of my cats, so she comes in the other morning. And I'm still like barely half awake, right? Like I wasn't even expecting her for another 20 minutes. I don't even think I'd had my coffee yet. And she comes in and she looks right at Socks and goes, "How's my favorite cat?" Any of you that come to me, first one that comes to me is my favorite, as she's looking right at Socks. And I'm like, come on. You wouldn't go in your apartment and be like, "Hey, BB, you're my favorite cat." Here's who did nothing wrong. Okay, if you tell them all that they're your favorite, then I'll leave. Maynard has Socks is everyone who has met me and been in my, met the kitties thinks that Socks is all. They love Socks. Socks is everybody's favorite. I love them all for different reasons. And I like Maynard has become far more, took him 5 years, has become far more loving. Are you speechless over my cop spiel? I'm sorry. I thought being, carrot and stick. I do a lot of stick on here. Give them a carrot. If you arrest some other cops, get canceled, Justin. Go. I'm advocating for them to arrest other cops, and I'm getting pushed back. Okay, God, and you had to do this to me. You had to do this to me for this. I'm gonna try my best not to laugh during this. A child in Maryland was in a bouncy house. God, I hope we have video. He died after going they died. I don't know if it's a boy. They died after going airborne onto a baseball field.
This scoreboard will remain dark this weekend, and this field is now the scene of an investigation. The deflated moon bounce speaks to family fun turned to a family's horror. A 5-year-old child is dead. It happened between innings at a Friday night ball game at Waldorf's Regency Furniture Stadium as a welcome breeze blew through the stadium and children were enjoying a bounce house.
It's kind of up on a platform at the end of the first baseline, and it came flying up over the side of the fence and onto the right field.
Whoa!
Immediately clear if there was anyone inside, but the horror soon revealed itself.
It got airborne.
See something come out of the bounce house and land on the field, and from the distance I wasn't sure whether it was a child or not. But then all of a sudden, pretty much.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be anchored? Aren't those things always like they've got like bungees on the side or whatever holding them down?
Both baseball teams went running out onto the right field. And, I saw one guy, waving his hands and pointing down that somebody was hurt.
The child that died is only being identified as a 5-year-old from La Plata. It was a church and family night at the stadium, and families from across southern Maryland were there. The mood changed immediately from celebratory to silent and prayerful.
We were devastated to see something like that happen. I mean, it didn't even feel that windy where we were sitting.
Another child, a 6-year-old, was taken to the hospital with critical injuries, and a worker was also injured but not hospitalized.
Yeah, God really had it out for that kid, didn't he?
Paramedics already at the stadium rushed to the aid of the injured, as did both teams and their own medical personnel.
They pretty much cleared the benches and went running out there. Because, nobody knew whether there were kids in it or not at that point.
A study done by the University of Georgia finds that since 2000, there have been 28 deaths worldwide related to inflatable bouncers. And they've increased in popularity. This
wow,
a mainstay at kids' parties and events. Marie Rogan says her kids have enjoyed them too.
They've actually been to those at the stadium before when they were younger.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission says they should never be used when the wind is between 15 to 25 miles per hour, and that they should always be securely staked and grounded, and never without adult supervision. An investigation into Friday's incident is underway.
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester. Flo, I've made the proposal multiple times here on this show. I believe that we should have a bill called the Higher Standard Act, that cops should face double what the mandatory minimum is for a sentence on anything. No matter what they're charged with, they face double the mandatory minimum a normal citizen would. I really don't have a beef with Lester. If I made a fuck you Lester shirt, or it was shut up Lester shirt, would you guys want it? We got Tina Fey over here going to tell us about this woman who was arrested after refusing to leave her car shut down the highway.
County now, Highway 183 in Bedford is back open after being closed for hours because a driver refused to leave her car during a traffic stop. Just before noon, Bedford police say they tried to pull over a car that they believe was speeding on 183 between Brown Trail and Industrial Boulevard. Police say the driver called dispatch and said she had a gun in the car. She refused to get out. The eastbound lanes of 183 were closed for hours, but you can see it right here. Bedford police did bring in a SWAT team. They eventually deployed a smoke device. That driver was arrested, taken to a hospital. She will be taken to jail, but it is not clear what charges she is going to face.
It was a standoff that shut down the interstate for hours. Oh, shit.
911 was okay.
She said she had a gun. She was some sort of official. But that could have been like a bus driver. That could have been some sort of like city worker of some sort. Rent a cop kind of deal. All right, are you ready for this one? This is your first of several animal stories tonight. I wanted to put it down at the end, but I guess it fit more with the crime stuff than the bullshit stuff. Your first of multiple animal stories tonight. Florida man, so you know it's gonna be good.
Also new tonight, the man accused of lassoing and then tying a gator to a pole in Brevard County is speaking with Fox 35. Now, the gator you see right down there at the bottom had to be euthanized. Fox 35's Kelsey Cairns joins us live from Brevard County tonight after speaking with Robert Collin. He's the man facing charges. So, Kelsey.
Okay, I was wondering why he was arrested for lassoing an alligator, but apparently he just tortured that poor thing, so fuck this dude.
See, what did he say? Why did he do it?
Yeah, so basically, he explained to me he was looking out for his community. He says he really was tired of gators going after turtles in his local canal, so he decided to take matters into his own hands. This gator, seen with a rope around its mouth, tethered to a pole, now dead.
I decided, well, maybe I can catch it and keep it here because they can't monitor 24 hours, and I'll help them out.
71-year-old Robert
helped them out.
The man responsible, says the Brevard County Sheriff's Office. It all happened Wednesday morning when trying to protect turtles in the canal, he says.
So that alligator appeared, and some of the public told me that they're eating the turtles.
Using a clothesline, deputies say he was able to capture the 9-foot reptile by lassoing his jaw.
They said I lassoed. I didn't lasso. I put it down and made a motion for up and down on the end of the rope, and he must have thought it was a turtle because the turtles are white underneath, and he bit at it, and when he bit, he trapped himself in the top of the snoot.
Investigators say Colin is not licensed to trap any wild animal.
Okay, cool. Call animal control, have them relocate the gator. No problem. What fucking... Why? Why would you do this to the poor animal?
In the state of Florida, after the gator was trapped.
If it's a nuisance, I understand taking action. Don't torture it.
Colin says he called 911. Deputies say he told them he found the gator trapped there. However, surveillance video shows he was the one who did the trapping. Colin was arrested for injuring a gator without authority and released on bond.
Since he didn't have a permit or wasn't a licensed trapper with the state of Florida, that's where the charges come from. You're not allowed to remove a gator.
And remember, you can use this story as something to learn from. If you have a nuisance gator or a problem gator in your community, it's better to leave it to the professionals and give Florida Fish and Wildlife a call.
Yeah.
Live in Brevard County tonight, I'm Kelsey Cairns, Fox 35.
Not animal control, fish and wildlife. Because I was even thinking, I was like, Florida might even have like a special office for that just goes and traps and relocates gators. Because it seems like it's probably a common problem, right? Speaking of Florida man launched a beer about being a real American. Florida man happily took a picture with a neo-Nazi while promoting said beer. Yeah, Florida man. Hulk Hogan, brother. Hulk Hogan poses with Nazi supporter during Real American Beer promotional tour. Hulk Hogan's influential career in professional wrestling has made a significant impact on the industry. Outside of wrestling, the Hulkster frequently meets celebrities and engages in various activities. However, during a recent Real American Beef, I think it's supposed to be beer. Maybe he's got beef now too. I think that's a misprint. Promotional tour, he was spotted posing with a Nazi. As previously noted, Hulk Hogan recently unveiled his own line of beer called Real American Beer. He's been promoting his beer in many different ways, and fans are usually invested in what he usually does to advertise the beer. The WWE Hall of Famer is currently promoting his beer all over the United States. I should never read from wrestling sites. They're so bad. I know this as a wrestling fan. Why am I doing this to myself? This isn't the only controversy Hulk Hogan got himself involved in, as he was accused of racism after a black brand ambassador for Real American Beer accused him of firing her over her ethnicity. Ethnicity. Yep, holiday. I'd forgotten all about that. After the RNC. What you gonna do, brother? It's possible he didn't see the tattoo and he's just taking pictures with everybody. But, like, I kind of feel like there's people there. There's, like, agents, handlers, or whatever. And, somebody should have probably seen that. Macho Man was one of my all-time favorites. Thread. Be a man, Hogan. Don't be scared. If you guys are not aware, Macho Man wrote a rap album. And it has a diss track about Hulk Hogan on it. And it's amazing. Venus, I loved The Undertaker all the way up until I watched his documentary. Find out he's a far-right chud and an incredibly insecure man. Holiday you need a link to Hulk Hogan's... God damn. I love it. I will happily turn you on. I still listen to several songs off of it. It's predominantly like other rappers and shit, but Macho Man's, you know, good at what he does. The Macho Man album from 2005, Be a Man. Don't give me copyright now. Kane is the mayor of Knox County and is absolutely a far-right chud. He was at the RNC. Mick Foley over The Undertaker any day. And I actually got to meet Mick Foley. Shit, did I find that picture? I think I did the other day. I was like, oh, that's where it was. Maybe I've lost it again. Like, that picture of me with Mick Foley is so cool. Incredible guy, and he is a hardcore leftist. Well, maybe more liberal, but he is definitely a lot cooler than most chuds in wrestling. Also, CM Punk stands up for trans rights, very based. Stands up for workers' rights. CM Punk, one of my favorites. Back in the day, I used to love Ric Flair. Ric Flair has gone batshit crazy. Ric Flair was the leader of the Four Horsemen. One of the most legendary groups in the history of wrestling. Very few men have ever got to call themselves a horseman. One of those men was Steve Mongo McMichaels. And he was also a championship football player for the Chicago Bears. Mongo, unfortunately, has been suffering from ALS. He got inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this weekend. Unfortunately, could not attend because of his ALS, but they brought the Football Hall of Fame to him. He was a shit wrestler, but by all accounts, he was a really good guy.
Activists came together.
Not the only sports story I have for you tonight. If you were not exactly into the football story, perhaps you'll be more into this story, because it involves dicks.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
A French pole vaulter's gigantic schlong cost him an Olympic medal. Aside from Leon Marchland, who clinched his 4th swimming gold medal yesterday, another French athlete, 21-year-old pole vaulter Anthony Armirati, has become an instant viral phenomenon after an incident involving his crotch. Emirati missed his target height and knocked down the pole with his bulge on Saturday, which caused him to fail his qualifying track for the final. The scene left commentators scrambling to find words, but it quickly sparked memes and jokes all over social media. When you're about to win an Olympic medal, but your massive dick gets in the way and the whole world watches in slow motion. Let's watch it. Oh no! Oh, NBC took it down. No way! Are you kidding me? Oh.
What happened here, Coach Judy? On the way down.
Wow!
Coach Judy.
Dang!
What happened here, Coach Judy? On the way down.
I think you may be right, Terry. His knees hit it, but like his schlong flops. This is horrible.
What happened here, Coach Judy? On the way down.
Schlonged on the way down. I mean, I guess there's worse problems to have in life, right? Should have tucked. I was wondering, like, wouldn't you wear like some kind of like really tight shit down there to keep it all in place? Pull on blow fire. Oh God. Well, I don't know if you'd want a cup because a cup might restrict your movement, but you would want some kind of like, you know, bandeau, spandex, some kind of stuff. But it looks like his outfit was spandex.
What happened here, Coach?
A dick biter.
On the way down.
A cock cage. He needed a cock cage. That's exactly what you need. He needed a little cock cage. Oh, fuck.
You live in
How many
sexual
of you
anarchy.
know what that is? Probably all of you, because you're all perverted fucks. Every single one of you knows what a cock cage is. I went back and forth on this one because I was kind of a pre-watch Andy, and like, well, you know what? They took the story down, so we're not even going to do it. Well, but I had the video, so why not, I guess. Oh, I see why. Hold on. That's my fault. I'm stupid. After I actually saw the video, I was like, well, that wasn't really anything. I love Kesha, though. Kesha waved a real knife during her Lollapalooza set. Against her knowledge, during her Lollapalooza set, Kesha was waving around a butcher knife during her performance of Backstabber as she playfully pretended to stab her dancers, all covered in hopefully fake blood. Unbeknownst to her, she apparently was waving around a real knife during the whole thing, despite thinking that it was a prop. I mean, if you didn't know that it was a real knife and you thought it was a prop and you were going around stabbing your dancers, that might be something. But when I saw the video, I was like, she didn't really do anything with it. We don't really get a good clip of it. Like, if that's all you're doing, it's not really that big of a deal. Apparently people compared it to the Britney dancing with knives thing. As a safety measure, she's planning a similar stunt when she performs Joyride. Someone needs to check the pink slip of the vehicle. I just like talking about Kesha. All right, this one's good. This one's a good one for you. This is your second animal video of the night, but not the last one. The Killers are her favorite band, really. Okay, here's the thing: is Thread. I don't know if I've told you this. Are you seeing them at the Sphere? They're not at the Sphere. You're just seeing them at like an arena or something, aren't you? Or theater? The Killers, like all through the 2000s. Pickle Rick! All through the 2000s, just banger after banger after banger. And then the album Battleborn. I wore that thing out. I loved that album. And then a couple years, you're not seeing them at all. What, your wife is going and seeing them? Did I read that wrong? So she can see them. Oh, well, do you not like the Killers? Would you like to have gone? Because that kind of sucks. But a couple years after that album, which I loved, I found out dude was a Mormon. And ever since then, all their new music, it doesn't hit the same way for me. I did not like the Man or The Man Came Around or whatever. Fair enough, Thread. Fair enough. I love live music. I'm a huge fan. And I like the Killers an awful lot. But yeah, I found out the dude was a Mormon. I don't know if their music has changed or just I'm tainted because I found out he's a Mormon. And then, I found out Beck was a Scientologist, but apparently he left Scientology. So good on him. How do you become a Scientologist? But Beck kind of makes sense if you know anything about Beck. He loves to chase trends. Chase trends. You can never really leave Scientology. I like the Killers. I'd be sad if I didn't get to see the Killers. Hey, apparently, and speaking of the Spear, apparently UFC 306 is going to be there. What is that going to be like? What are they going to be projecting? Beck was born into Scientology. That explains more about how Beck is. That instead of the Beck chases trends, so that's why he joined Scientology. No, being born into Scientology explains why Beck makes the music he does. His eccentricities. Well, what are they gonna put on the screens during a fight? I don't it could be cool during the entrances and stuff, but I don't get the appeal. And I've not really been impressed with many of the acts that they've had at the Sphere. Apparently Fish was really cool. I watched a good chunk of Fish. I watched a good chunk of U2, and I didn't like that one. Yes, Venus. And I love Isaac Hayes. The Isaac Hayes song, the 16-minute opus, fucking amazing song. By the time I get to Phoenix, it's the cover, but the original song's 2 minutes long. Isaac Hayes, 16 fucking minutes. By the time I get to Phoenix, one of my favorite songs of all time. Really? That the Church of Scientology was involved in his death? On the one hand, I'd like to scoff at that, but on the other hand, I know about the Church of Scientology. Really? See, I never had any Beck CDs. I always had his MP3s because Beck kind of, I didn't like Loser and some of the later stuff. By the time we get to E-Pro and stuff, it's I'm downloading MP3s and shit like that. And I didn't really get into Beck, like listening to whole albums of Beck until probably around like 2013, 2014. And I really liked Morning View is the name of that album. I really liked that album. And that kind of like, I really got into Beck. And then I liked Up All Night or Wow or whatever the next album was really fucking good. And I saw him on that tour. Or maybe it was the next tour. I don't know. And it was a really good show. Beck was really good live. You guys hungry? You got the munchies? Got a bunch of stoners in this chat. You might want to go to a vending machine because you got the munchies. You're never going to guess what they found in this vending machine.
Can be pretty pricey, so you typically won't find it in the vending machine. But a live crab was actually discovered in a vending machine on the second floor of the Francis Building in downtown Sioux City. Take a look. So Mason.
Yeah, honestly, that's the cool thing about Beck is he's got so many different phases and shit. Like, and all of them kind of sound distinct.
Who works for Pepsi sent us this photo showing the crab in the slot of the vending machine where the product typically falls after you buy it. Mesa said on Thursday, several people tried to get snacks from the vending machine, but something was snapping at them. Mesa said people thought there was a mouse in the machine. Maintenance crews called Pepsi about the issue, and when Mesa showed up to check the machine this morning, he found the crab, which had died. Mesa then disposed of it. Strangely enough, another crab was found in the Sioux City Public Library earlier this week. The library and Francis Building are right next to each other in downtown Sioux City and are connected by a skywalk.
The skywalk. Kevin, good evening. Is that a joke? Is that a joke? Like, was he actually in Escape from New York? Or are you just saying he looked like Kurt Russell? I don't know. It's been years since I've seen Escape from New York. And here is your actual final animal video of the night. Beck was in, he played the Duke, in the Escape from New York? I don't remember that movie at all. Snake Plissken. Wow, you're blowing my mind, Kevin. I'm not seeing this. Wouldn't he be too young? Bonk. I love the balls on that cat. I feel like my cats would run. That cat didn't take no shit. Was there a sequel to Escape from New York? I didn't know that at all. Is Kurt Russell in it? I love Kurt Russell, by the way. What's everybody's favorite Kurt Russell movie? I'm probably going to go with Death Proof, but fucking Overboard is fucking great. Oh man, he's in Hateful Eight too, isn't he? Ah, he's so good. I haven't watched Overboard in years, Curious. Or you want to watch Overboard? God, you're not going to be off. You got one day off. You're not going to want to watch a movie with me on your one day off. It's like another 2 weeks before you be off again. Or what'd you say, 7 days, 8 days? Let's watch Overboard. I want to watch Overboard. I probably haven't seen. Man, I may have never seen, like, I had HBO when I was a kid, so I might have. I may have never seen it, like, unedited. You know, not like, you know, on TBS. I feel like it was on TBS all the time when I was a kid. Maybe it was TNT. It was one of those Turner networks. Yes. If you're watching on Twitch, you're heading over to Echoplex. Time for the Plex. It's a good transition from me to him, because you still going to be finding out what that news be doing. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We will see you tomorrow night. And tomorrow night, very well, we could be on early. Expect an announcement of the vice presidential candidate for the Democrats pick tomorrow. I'd say we're probably getting a press conference. So watch out. We might be coming on 5, 6, 7. Come on early for it. Light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night.